Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Break Room Podcast. And we finally got the full house once again.
What?
We got the gang back together.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And the gang, of course, we got Sweet, Vin,
That's right.
and Joe. And it's great to
I'm
be...
Sweet, he's Vin.
Exactly.
That's Joe.
And that's
This
Joe.
is Joe.
Help?
This
Rob?
is Joe, and I'm just me.
He's Peter. I mean,
Nobody,
Rob.
nobody cares.
Nobody cares. See? Nobody cares.
Welcome to the Break Room Podcast. If you guys are first-time viewers, we're kind of just a bunch of best friends that like to talk about geek shit, and we made a
best
show.
friends that anybody can have.
That's it.
And we're opinionated.
We are opinionated.
Highly.
We don't agree on everything, and that's what makes it a fun show. We're going to be
the fuck are you
starting off
talking
with some gaming. We're definitely going to be touching on some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Loud.
Some Helldivers, WWE 2K transitioning into some wrestling talk. 'Cause, we're on the road to WrestleMania. They got some crazy stuff going on Smackdown tonight.
Yeah.
We got some stuff to talk about.
You smoked.
I also want to mention we're going to be getting House of the Dragon soon, so we're going to be talking about that a little bit deeper. And
Deeper.
we're going to talk about the new 2K24 wrestling game that just launched. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but we're gonna delve into that in a minute. Before we kick off the show, I just wanted to show off. We always start the show with what's in the box.
What's
What
in
fuck
the
did-
box?
what the fuck
God.
plastic
Oh,
addiction
God, no.
did Rob buy this time? So
Spending addiction.
I went to Target.
Plastic crack.
It is terrible and great at the same time. This Masters of the Universe Origins line that they came out with, where they're like stylized like the old He-Man figures, but modernized with the bendable joints, has spilled over to multiple other licenses. We've got wrestling figures that are tied over to the Masters of the Universe, and now the latest crossovers with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which makes me very fucking excited. And one of my favorite villains outside of Skeletor himself, who is my number one, is Trapjaw. And they did a hybrid character of Trapjaw with the Mousers from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And what's really cool about this, I ended up buying 2 of these. So I'm going to place this one here for now. And I'm going to show you the open figure. What's great is you can actually take the Mouser and attach him to the gun arm.
The Mauser.
And
My
you can
favorite
have the
pistol.
Mauser shooting out the flame and all
Oh,
that
wait.
stuff.
That's a
Becomes-
Mauser?
So, yeah.
When
it's
you
just a
say Mauser,
mouse.
I thought you meant like the broom handle pistol.
Not the broom handle
Mauser.
pistol. No. That's
That
Han
was-
Solo's blaster. No, this is Baxter Stockman's invention from
Nice.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
get
and
Rob.
he's paired with Trapjaw, who's kind of like the weapons master and tech guy. So they made a really good crossover. And what's really interesting about this that they show on the box art is that they're going to be creating a Build-A-Figure. And this is the first figure to come with a part. They're going to be making Metal Bato, which is Roboto from Masters of the Universe, and he's combined with Metalhead, which was the
Let me see
robotic Ninja Turtle that Donatello had created. So that's going to be something that's going to come out in 4 different figures. I don't think they've announced what the other 3 figures are yet. In fact, I was very surprised to even know it existed. I saw it on the box art when I picked up this figure from Target. It's a Target exclusive. We're going to be getting another Target exclusive, which is going to be a combo of Faker, which is like the blue He-Man,
Good catch.
and Slash, which is like the evil Ninja Turtle, which is going to be cool. It's
Can
gonna
we
be called
talk about
Slacker,
that for a
and
second?
he might have another piece.
Like the fact that these major retailers are separating toy lines. So you have a toy line that you want, and then you have one exclusive that's dedicated to going to Walmart, and this other exclusive that you have to get at Target to complete the line.
Bastards.
What the fuck happened to the good old days? You go to KB, you go to Toys R Us, and they have everything you want.
I'm very, very
the
upset
good
whenever
old
it
days.
comes to a Walmart exclusive because they are the absolute worst
They are the worst.
to try to get
You can't get shit from
exclusives
that
from.
store.
It's true.
I want the Krang that's coming out from this line. It's like a big green monster with Krang in his stomach.
That's a Walmart thing?
That's a Walmart exclusive, and so is the mutated Moss Man. He's got like a clear green plastic, and he's got some stuff growing out of him, which is really cool. They just,
Bring back Toys R Us, please.
I miss Toys R Us, and I worked there, so that took a lot for me.
I worked
to
there
say,
too.
The toy lines are making
as much
massive
of
money
a great
because
store it was,
Walmart
it sucked working there.
Walmart pays them a ton of
It's
money.
like the
to
subscription
get
services we were talking about.
Oh, bro.
If you want to watch NFL games, you got to buy 5 different
You got
streaming services.
it. 4 services plus cable.
If I want to get a whole action figure line, I got to go to every fucking major box retailer that there is. It's terrible.
And the last thing for what's in the box, I ended up scooping these at the same time that I saw the Trap Jaw. So these are figures that I had as a kid that they re-released. It's mutating Bebop and Rocksteady. So you can actually switch them back to their human counterparts. Their hands and their heads switch, and they have like hidden weapons in their shoes and stuff like that. And they come with a can of ooze, like a canister. So and that was like clear green. So it was like a cool accessory that came with these guys. I had
some
the
Bebop and Rocksteady, bro.
We're gonna squash the turtles. Say your prayers, turtles. But I always loved Bebop and Rocksteady. They were my favorites of all the villains of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Of course, I love the Shredder, but I feel like Shredder does his best when he has Bebop and Rocksteady. When he doesn't have them, it just doesn't feel right. And I was very excited to be able to scoop those from the yesteryear. The only ones I'm looking for, haven't seen in the store, I wanted the mutating Master Splinter.
Oh.
Because he switches back to his human form, which is pretty cool.
You know, it's hilarious. The fact that this is to one of Joe's earlier points in a different show, but they're making the figures. They're not the new style. They're the old style.
Nobody wants the new shit.
Nobody wants the new. No, it's not as good. It's just not as good.
It doesn't look as good, and the people buying it are people who had the original stuff, so they're the ones spending the money now. They're the adults. They have fucking jobs, so they can afford this shit.
True.
And there's a place for both, because, I mean, if you look at the Masters of the Universe line, not only do they have these, they have the 6-inch, Masterverse figures that are kind of like the modern figure with the, the joints and all that kind of stuff that come along with that. And I will say that they've been making toys better lately than they have in like maybe the last 10 years, because if you look at the Marvel Legends 10 years ago, before, like after the Toy Biz sale of them, they were very low quality figures. I have a lot of those.
Dog shit.
But you love them anyway.
They just snapped in half. You play with them, just it was just done. And then the good people learned how to replace it with the gasket. But
oh, you mean the O-ring G.I. Joes?
Yeah. Dude.
Well, I love the O-ring G.I. Joes, and you can fix them with an O-ring. If you get a plumber's O-ring, there's like I think it's
not when I was fucking 6.
Size 9.
We weren't doing that at that time.
Yeah.
No.
Thing broke.
No.
My mom was like, "Fuck those things."
In fact, that's a funny thing. It was like a trauma from my childhood. My brother gave me the He-Man figures when I was a kid, like basically too young, and I like broke them all, and I was devastated.
What the fuck
I
did
didn't
you do
realize,
to the He-Man figure?
like their legs fell off and shit with the rubber, and like it just like they all came apart. And
Rob doesn't strike me as the kid that was being careful.
I
with
was
the
not being
fucking
careful. I had
toys,
ADHD. I was not medicated yet. I was 3 years old playing with He-Man figures. He-Man did not stand a chance.
You ever see Toy Story 3 where the kids storm into the room and they're smashing everything?
He was the most powerful man in the universe until he came across me, and that was it. And then he ended up in the landfill, and we never saw him.
I'm
again.
a sick person. I'm OCD still. To
I
this
wouldn't.
day. It's a
I wouldn't have
disease.
let Rob touch my shit.
I used to make my friends when I was a kid.
Yeah, I guess my brother just didn't care about He-Man at that point anymore. He's like, sure, these are the toys I'm willing to part with to
You
give to
were
my
a
little
sicko?
brother. And
You're
that's what's fun about these new He-Man figures. You can actually pop the pieces off and customize them, and you can, put whatever hand on whoever. And
Smart.
That's if they did that back then, I wouldn't have had to throw away all my He-Man figures.
I'm not like this anymore, but I apologize if any of my childhood friends are watching, maybe my cousin. But I used to make my friends wash their hands before touching my toys or video games.
Truly an only child.
You want to hear something fucked up, actually?
Brothers,
Your
You
greasy
turn the
fucking
page,
hands,
you wash your hands.
greasy fucking sweaty fucking palms touching my fucking.
You turn the page,
What I
you
used
wash
to
your
do
hands.
when I was playing with the toy wrestlers and one of them got busted open, I would have like mosquito bites from playing outside, and I was always fucking itching them, and I would like scratch my mosquito bites and like squeeze the blood out of them, smear my
You're
blood
a
on the toys.
disgusting fucking
Well,
person.
it was a way of, it didn't hurt,
You're
you know, and it was like, oh, he's busted open, you son of a bitch, you know, it was
have
hardcore.
To take a shower with
God.
Band-Aids in order to touch my toys as a kid. That's fucking disgusting.
It was a way of, you know,
His
I didn't
legs
do it
look like
often,
Dusty Rhodes'
but when he
forehead.
got the crimson mask, it was like, oh, he's bleeding, you know, he's
Stone
He's
Cold.
bleeding like a stick. God almighty, kill him. God has more witness. He's broken in half. Damn him. Damn him to hell.
Yeah, those toy wrestlers though, those took a beating. I don't know if you guys played with the wrestlers.
Oh
ever
man,
when
all
you
my
were
wrestling
kids.
figures like used to break and shit. In fact, you know what's really funny is
Power bomb the
I had
shit.
like my own like enjoyment with things. Like not that like I followed wrestling, but I had like the wrestling figures. So like these characters took on like a different like persona to me. Like I had this Bret Hart figure, and like it was the Bone Cruncher, and I guess over time like
Love the
his
Bone
waist
Crunchers.
twist. Used to like got really loose, so
Yeah,
like
yeah,
his
yeah.
legs could swing
He could
around.
swing in a
So I would
360.
stick his leg up and do like a typhoon kick with him.
yeah.
Special move.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. It's got those educated
And that
feet.
was it. You know, Bret Hart had a typhoon kick in my world.
I used to. I would burn them too. I would like, you know, be like a fucking.
What?
You're
Well, it was
burning them,
Kane. I
bleeding on
burnt
them?
my Kane toy because he was
my
burnt,
God.
and I
This
felt
kid
like
had
it.
zero oversight. He was the most neglected
Oh,
child
dude.
ever.
No, well,
Not neglected
That's
in
what
a
happens
bad
when
way.
you're the
Just
last one of the
right.
litter, and they're like, I had enough already. Just get this
no,
one
I
out.
just
Yeah.
I like playing with the wrestlers, and
They'll
I would
take
do
care of each
hardcore
other.
shit. I actually fucked my finger up. I could show you the scar right
Doesn't
there.
surprise
Very
me.
stark because I
don't
tried.
wanna hear what you did
No,
with
no,
your
it was
finger.
easy.
I don't wanna
I
hear
was
it.
trying to cut a hole in my ring.
I don't want to hear what you did with your finger in the hole.
I'm just saying, I was trying to cut a hole in my wrestling ring
This is
because
a
I
PG
wanted.
show. We have kids
I
watching.
wanted Undertaker to chokeslam Kane through the ring because you know when that happened, that was bad. I chokeslammed him through
How
the
have they
ring.
not made a ring that has a trap door to do that?
That's what I'm saying. So I was using. I'm a little kid. I'm like fucking using a pocket knife, which is like a dull. And then as I'm doing it, it just closed right on it, cut all the way to the bone. It's bleeding.
Could
like
you
crazy.
imagine if they made a cage ring with a fall through top end ring, and it came
Well, they
with
do have
Undertaker.
cage. They do have, like,
came
Hell
with
in a Cell.
Undertaker and Foley.
Foley.
Could you imagine Foley in the hole? I could just picture it. Like
Dude,
the
a
fucking
collector's
box set.
edition,
I
if
would
they
buy
made that, collector's edition set, Hell in a Cell, cloth
Shit.
ring apron and everything, you know,
and
like
you could put them through the apron.
that would be bad.
I would buy
They
that.
did make the Foley Hell in a Cell figure recently. I bought it.
Nice.
But if they
So
had a whole
the
set,
back
man,
of
I
the
would
shirt.
want
we
the
would all
Hell in
buy
a
that.
Cell Undertaker.
Yeah.
I'd want the 2-pack
The ring
with
with
the
the Hell
ring.
in a Cell.
Yeah.
Even
the
even a
cell.
Funko Pop would be.
Maybe that'll be like a Mattel
Why do you
creation.
gotta, why do you gotta inject that
Because I know
poison?
you'd hate it.
Yeah.
But it
Who
would
was
be
the
good.
ref in that?
They've done the
Was that- was
scenes.
that-
And
Earl
that would
Hebner.
be a good scene.
Earl Hebner. Imagine if it came with Earl Hebner too. That's
Never.
funny.
Hey, well, I got like you remember on one of our toy
Yeah,
hunts,
yeah.
I got like 2 or 3.
You got
Earl
you
Hebners.
got Earl and Dave.
It's
Hebner.
Dave
You did, you
Hebner,
got
and he
both of
actually
them.
counts.
Yeah.
You
So
can hit the
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm sure they.
Ah,
I'm sure they explained that set like a million times. Like Undertaker's probably told that story. I'm like,
Oh, I totally
but
tells
how
in
the
his live show.
fuck did they play? How did they practice that?
They didn't practice it.
No practice. One
Zero.
shot. Zero. Just I'm gonna throw you off.
No,
You only
Did
get
Foley-
one of those. You
There's
know?
a whole.
Was it Foley's idea? Whose idea was it?
It was Foley's idea. They were trying to see how could they top the first Hell in a Cell match.
Someone
We're,
went
we're
through.
definitely already going into wrestling a little bit, but the first Hell in a Cell match,
This
it's
is
still
what
toy
we do
related.
every time.
The first Hell in a Cell match was Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And in that match, there was a spot where they were hanging onto the side of the cage, and Taker like bangs his head into it, and Shawn falls back off of midway up the cage or so. He falls back onto the table.
Gotcha.
So Foley was like, well, how do I top that? You know, whatever we do is just going to pale in comparison to that. So how do we top that? And it was, what if maybe I could, and Foley has this podcast, he could talk about it. And Taker like was refusing. He's like, nope. And then I think on like the last day, he was like, all right, you know, we could try it. And the rest was history.
Christ.
Have
how
you
it
ever
happened.
watched the? I know we're going. This is what we do on this show. We keep telling. We're not going to do this tonight. We're not going to do this tonight. We're doing
It's called
this
the Off the Tangent podcast.
There's like actual fan footage, like fan shot footage off of a camera of Foley falling off the cell through the table, and that fan shot like video is way more visceral and like reality based than the WWE's cameras because it's more presentations more like
Right.
whatever, but
Right.
this looks more raw and just more like
Scary.
oh fuck because you see the reactions of everybody like around you and they're like mortified that he's fucking dead.
Definitely. And this is before or after Owen.
before 98. Owen passed away in 99.
Gotcha. I feel like
So about a year before.
that would be
Yeah, they definitely would have done that.
They might have deaded that
they might have,
idea.
yeah.
If, all right, so that makes sense.
Anyway.
Good God
Anyway,
Almighty,
sorry.
killed him.
Couldn't help it. But we do have some other things we wanted to talk about.
We did want to start off with gaming. Actually, I wanted to show this off. So Vin got his. I got jealous. I got lucky.
I convinced them both. I'm going to take credit for this.
and you-
I
Chris,
begged them to
Chris-
get this because I knew they would
Well,
love
Chris
it.
was the one that showed off his. He was the pioneer. He was the first one that got
He
his
bought
fingers
two,
on-
and I
on
bought mine from him.
I got an extra one because they were very hard to get for a while. That's
Yeah,
the PlayStation Portal you got there.
Yep. So
Is that officially made from Sony?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
this
That
is
is
an
a
official-
PlayStation
try it,
5
dude.
controller
This
with a
is a
screen in the
controller
middle.
with a
It's
screen.
cool.
Feels great in the hands.
Yeah.
The
Um,
DualSense controller.
And it's been an invaluable friend to me while I play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I could
which
play
is what I
WWE
wanted to
2K
start
right
off
now?
on here. You could.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Sick.
links to the PlayStation as long as you're on a strong Wi-Fi connection, and your PlayStation has to be LAN connected. It
Yes.
cannot be at the mercy of a Wi-Fi. It will not have the upload speed necessary to give you a flawless gaming
No
experience.
lag?
Just like the show
I
tonight.
was able to bring
Very,
that to
very
my brother's
surprisingly
house, go on his Wi-Fi, and play 2K23 with my niece. So it does work if you are on a good connection.
That was the selling point for me. That was the thing that put it over the top, where I knew I would keep it, was being away from home. I was in Connecticut at my girlfriend's, and it was, is this going to work? If it doesn't, I want to return it. Worked beautifully. Played Helldivers, did a whole couple sessions. It was like nothing. I was in the PlayStation
Headphones?
party. Yeah, it has a regular 3.5mm jack on the underside there.
No Bluetooth for.
It can only sync.
It's
to
like the
Pulse.
PlayStation.
It can only sync to the Pulse headset right now. It does not have.
And that's a Bluetooth?
Yeah, it's a wireless Bluetooth PS5 headset.
But I will say this,
Awesome.
which is
it's
pretty
portable PS5.
That thing is
And
what,
it-
$300?
$199. That's the other side.
$200, very fair.
No-
It's an LCD screen. It's
There it
not
is.
an LED, but who gives a fuck?
Only
if you want an
downside.
LED experience, play on your TV.
Well, no, yeah, pay $300. It would just cost $300 fucking dollars, and that would
I
break.
might splurge.
Probably
for
more
that.
than that, no?
It's worth it.
You would have to get like
Maybe
a
little
Steam
bit.
Deck.
Well,
at
I'm
that
saying I'm
point
just
or
comparing
something.
to
Like
Nintendo
$400
Switch.
or something.
Nintendo Switch, I think, is $299 for the OLED. So I was just off the top of my
Okay.
head. But for $199, portable PS5, and not only that,
Stable.
it just taps right into your system
Well,
at
the
home.
nicest thing is the controller is an exact replica.
Identical.
Yes.
Identical with all the feedback.
That's nice.
It feels like PS5 in your hands,
So-
and being away from home, absolutely.
and this thing is reselling for what now?
I don't even know. I haven't.
I don't
well,
know if
Chris
it's
was
still
nice
going
enough to-
hot. Like for a long time, like this went on sale in November, and it was impossible. I got mine like this month finally, and I followed all the pages. Finally, the portal. I followed all the pages. I did everything I could as a consumer to get this as quickly as possible, and it would just always immediately sell out on everything.
Where did you finally wind up getting it from?
I got it at 4 or 5 a.m. I got the notification, so I guess it was like a lull where most
what
Americans.
retailer?
Target.
Okay.
And then a second one went on sale.
Target again?
Target again. Actually, I don't know. Actually, no, that one might have been Best Buy. Yours.
This one?
It-
Oh,
It
okay.
could have been Best
I thought
Buy.
you
I'm
just
trying
got
to
two
remember.
at
It
the
wasn't.
same time.
I don't know if it was Target.
I got mine from GameStop. I got really lucky.
You walked in, right?
No.
Oh, no,
no. I walked in and they didn't have it, and then I was talking to our friend of the show, Cam, and he was telling me how to search on the GameStop app because a bunch of locations had just gotten some in, and I got lucky. There was one in Massapequa. I took the ride out there, and they had it in stock, so I had ordered it online for in-store pickup.
Mm.
I picked it up the next day.
Got to be honest, yeah. If your lifestyle is a little bit on the road, if you're having to not be at home, and
If you want to be able to poop
It's-
and play your PlayStation, this is great.
excellent companion for that. And I would say, Joe, you would definitely enjoy having that access. And it's quick. You pick up, it taps into your PS5 at home. Your PS5.
Problem with me is my gaming is not LAN. All my gaming is connected
fuck.
to Wi-Fi because the way that the apartment that I'm in is constructed. So I'd have to wait till I move, and I want to hardwire all my systems.
Yeah.
And then that would be
It's
an
not
option.
worth having unless
Then it
you
would
have
be,
LAN,
yeah, that's a
But
deal
no,
breaker.
I'm gonna play with it when we wrap up. I want to test it out. I want to fuck with it.
What I'll say
100%.
too
Very
is
cool.
like the distance is
that actually it feels better because
It
I
does.
am not a fan of
your
how-
arms are like this.
Yeah.
They're
Switch, you like-
perpendicular or whatever.
And
the fuck.
honestly, if you're really ambitious,
I'm not
you can just
Japanese,
use
my
this
hands
as
are
your
big.
controller while you're playing on the TV.
Yeah. No, my controller died. My controller died, and I picked up that and it connects to your PlayStation almost like your controller does.
In a sense, it's their.
It's a controller with a screen.
Well, it's their competitor to the Switch. Just think about how the Switch is.
And it's a
Remember
different approach.
You take it off of the dock. It's portable. You put it back on the dock. You can watch it on the
Switch.
screen.
It's a Steam Deck.
So
you know,
it's a different approach though, because the Switch
I know,
still
I
has
get
all
it.
that hardware in it, where
it's almost like Wii U.
Yeah.
Almost.
But
like,
I'll say compared to like the remote streaming on your phone, which is already pretty good, I gotta say, it's a lot more like. Crisp. It's almost like even if there is a little bit of latency, the controller is directly connected.
Xbox. It was terrible, and the PlayStation one was horrible too.
It is a different system. They use a different
UI
link-up.
Type of connection.
It's just a different link up that they.
It's pretty much connected as a controller. So even if and if I'm playing on my phone, if I hit something, there's like a delay. There's never a delay, even if there's some like latency on
what
know
about
what's
online
happening.
play.
I played Helldivers 2 online session, no problem. I was playing with most
GTA. I wouldn't play like Call of Duty. I mean, apart from Hell's,
online?
I wouldn't really play
that's
Call of
where
Duty
you
anyway.
probably find the
Yeah, you wouldn't want to use it for
gaps.
competitive.
You would find the gaps.
What is it like in terms of resolution?
I would
crisp.
It's very crisp.
Well, like,
It's a
1080p,
small screen, so it could be
1080p,
1080p, but it's a
1080p.
small screen. It doesn't matter.
Biggest problem it has HDR. It does not have the kind of HDR that obviously
It's not an LCD or
LED.
It's not an OLED, so it doesn't have that depth.
Got it,
So the only limitation I saw was there was like a really bright scene in Helldivers where I was like looking into the sun and it was like hyper white with fog, completely blown out. Couldn't even see anything in that direction. I was like, oh, okay, that's the downside. On top of the streaming aspect, you're not getting what you would get even on a TV at home.
Yeah.
So that was one of the, again, you'd be kind of nitpicking. The price alone, the quality, and feeling like I had my PS5 that was at home in my hands in a different state easily sold me.
And also, I do want to pull out one of my I am the king if I told you so. And I was even saying to Vin, I was like, it's great because your girlfriend's over. When you want to go play some video games, you got to go sit in your chair. She's on the bed and fucking complaining. Now you guys can
Why can't you
cuddle
be in
up.
separate rooms from your girlfriend?
What?
Why do you have to be in the same room?
What's the point of her coming over? We don't have a house, where is she gonna go? In my living room and talk to my fucking dog? No, it's nice because I don't have to go and sit in my chair over here. Like I could play in bed. We can I can be nearer to her. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to go and sit down and go to your gaming station. You can play wherever the fuck you want. I'm using it mostly at home, and I'm
really
playing
do that when I'm with my girl. We're doing something together, or we're not.
Well, when you're together for 7 or 8 years and you got
she
nothing
can grab
else to
one
do.
side of the controller and you can grab the other.
The difference,
Yeah,
a certain point where it's like we're together, but we need our me time too. She'll play her Switch. I'll play my PlayStation, and it's like
you're playing together,
just
right.
better. It's nicer,
Oh, believe me, my girlfriend can't wait. She's coming. She's coming this weekend anyway. So I hate that we have to do that, but and she's like, "Yep, I'm playing Final Fantasy, so that's it." I was like,
There you go.
"Really?" I thought I was gonna. Nope.
So you have to watch her play Final Fantasy.
So I get to watch her play. Yeah, it's sick.
That's nice.
On your PlayStation, though?
On my PlayStation, on my OLED TV.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to get her one of those
Break
for her
up my fucking
PlayStation,
party.
and then you can.
I'm trying to get her the Portal, but that's gonna happen when the PS5 Pro comes out, and I get that, and I give her my PS5.
Yeah. Well, she only have a PS4 right now.
She's got a 5, but it's not hers.
It's the first time I'm dating someone who likes video games. We went to Florida. I got up like in the morning before she was up, and I was playing Spider-Man 2 on her sister's boyfriend's PlayStation. I got to check out Spider-Man 2, and within 2 minutes of her coming down the living room, she's like, "Can I play something?" I just told her this game.
You're like,
Yeah.
what? I just
have to sit and watch her play Hogwarts for an hour.
now you really know. Now
I never had that before.
This is what it feels like.
Just take the controller out of my hand.
What do I do now?
What am I doing?
All right, let's get back on the rails. So the Portal is awesome. You've been playing that, but what's the game you guys?
Final
both of
Fantasy
you guys.
VII Rebirth. I can't get enough of it. I might get you until I go play it right now. Like it's upstairs and it's on my.
Little Joe
PlayStation.
says you look like Tommy Vercetti.
I'll take it.
I
Spike.
I mean, as somebody who did not play the original 7 because I do not like JRPGs or turn-based combat. I was just showing Joe, like, even he wants to play it now. Like, he was like, I could see why you've been hooked into it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. When
Can I
he came
ask
over
you-
earlier
Okay.
and I was playing it?
Why are you playing the remake when you never played the original?
Because it's made it this story that's been so iconic to so many people for decades, available to someone like me who didn't like the original playstyle.
Turn-based
Sure.
combat.
So you didn't want to play that old game, so you wouldn't give it a chance.
I didn't want to play it because I didn't like the graphics. I didn't like the play style,
turn-based.
and I just couldn't. It detracted from the game enough for me to not be able to enjoy it in the way it was intended to. This game has so much deviated from what it originally was that it's a completely different game, and I'm enjoying the shit out of it.
Yeah,
The formula that this game follows works for me.
Yes, it speaks to, well, first, the game in 1997 was a 3 or 4 disc, just
3 discs.
beyond
PlayStation 1.
I can't
PS1.
think of any 3-disc games except for like one of the Resident
Legend of
Evil.
Dragoon
Resident
also
Evil
had
2 had
2,
two, but it
Metal
was
Gear
just-
Solid had 2.
Right. Nothing really hit 3 or 4. Final Fantasy 7 had, again, I think it was 3. It may have been 4 discs.
3 discs.
It was 3.
Wow.
And this was a massive story because Rebirth is the second part of this remake trilogy that they're doing. That's how massive the original game is. And the original game, is turn-based combat, so it's, this guy is weak to these things and you're just facing off.
I like
and
turn-based combat.
It's very nice. You can turn it on
Can't
in the
stand it.
remake. It's
Can't
if you
stand
like that downtime to
Like
kind of
Pokemon.
strategize. Exactly. But what they did is they brought active combat into the game. They use slow-mo to allow you to use your powers. They really blended the whole thing together in such a nice way. But it does, to Rob's point, speak to the story that's behind this game. Very, very just interesting story. I won't break down the whole thing, but it's been so heartfelt for so long, and
It's the
so
most
many people.
herald Final Fantasy game in terms of storylines.
It's
ever.
about corporate and government corruption and mounting a resistance against
imagine
them.
that.
Really?
That's just part.
Really
That's
what
just
it
the
It was like a
tiniest
game
part.
for kids.
No, this is a deep game with a big,
This is not for kids.
massive.
It's
And
not
this
a
is
kid-
part 2 of like a trilogy of remakes.
Yes,
Correct.
Gotcha.
So
So
the
what was the
first-
first Final Fantasy?
So what's
VII
crazy
remake?
is apparently,
20
according to, I forget if it was your cousin Joe or Joe Prano told me, the point where I'm at, which is chapter 10 into this second game, the content that I'm in is actually still on disc 1 of the original game.
Yes.
So we haven't even touched disc 2 shit from the original game. So that means that the third game that's going to come out is going to have so much content, it's going to have at least a disc and a half or 2 discs worth of content in that one iteration, which is crazy.
It's a massive story. It's a very intricate. There's a lot of interpersonal story. There are geopolitical, parallels in there. There are
Here comes the rock.
spiritual. Oh yeah, so we are.
Looks
Oh, man,
badass. It looks pretty good.
we're definitely gonna pivot to this. So I'll just wrap
Pivot.
up real quick.
No, we'll keep talking about it. It's all right. We'll
Final
an eye on it.
Fantasy. Yeah, this is gonna take like 10 minutes too. Those look badass. The lightning strikes was sick.
yeah.
So in Final Fantasy VII, I said Cloud does belong possibly on the Mount Rushmore of gaming because the
Fair.
game is iconic.
Yeah.
It's been that iconic for this long. I'm talking about a game from 97, 2024.
He was only in the one Final Fantasy VII game, right?
Yes, it is an anthology, so I did want to ask you guys. It's interesting. I didn't expect Joe to find interest in the game seeing it. So I want to ask Joe, what do you find interesting? Like, what might pull you in there?
What took me out of those games in like the 90s was the turn-based combat. I like being able to hit my targets, switch to my power-ups, my weapons, whatever,
Right.
rather than click a button and sit there for 10 minutes and watch him slowly take his health down. And I'm just, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just sitting watching this.
Okay.
So I'd never played any Final Fantasy games. I never completed any.
Me
Like,
neither.
I've dipped in. I played a little bit of 10 because 10 was like, oh, you got to play it. It's so good. 7 was like at the time when you're, a kid and you're reading like EGM and Game Informer and Game Fan. If you remember Game Fan.
Yes.
And they're all like, oh, Final Fantasy 7 is like the most epic thing. So I tried it. I played the demo. I just couldn't get into it.
I get it.
And then it just got so far out of whack. It's like we're up to 15, 16 now. I'm not going to start by going back to a Nintendo to play Final Fantasy 1 and Super Nintendo for 2.
And I did that. I had an emulator and
that.
a
I
ROM,
get
and I
that.
didn't
Now-
like the original.
I also like at the time that it came out, I was heavily into Japanese centric games.
Oh, okay.
Tenchu, Stealth Assassins, Metal Gear
Best.
Solid, Silent Hill, Resident Evil. Like these were all like the 90s. The Japanese developed games were the top. There was nothing better than a Japanese developer in the 90s. Not until probably like, Xbox 360 come out. You had Gears of War, you had Halo, you had Fable. So you had more American developers kind of taking elements of a Japanese RPG game or a Japanese like humor or Japanese like horror that was in Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and they kind of infused that into like an American-centric game.
Right.
And that's where they kind of like evened out the playing field, and you started to see like now Rockstar is huge, and they got Grand Theft Auto and all these other things, and then the Japanese like games kind of took a hit. But there's always something about a Japanese-made video game that it has so much polish and it has so much care put into it. It doesn't require patches. It doesn't require DLC. The game's complete. I mean, we talked about this a few weeks ago, like with Zelda and Metroid and all these Mario games. Like, they are complete.
Right.
You don't need to worry about a patch because you can't get online or you can't play this or this feature's missing from the game until 3 months later when they decide to give you crossplay. Fuck you, Mortal Kombat. I'm still pissed about that. I wasted $100 on that fucking game.
The Japanese are fantastic storytellers.
They're that too.
So yeah, it's funny because with the Japanese, really anything Japanese, in my opinion, should be watched or listened to in Japanese and with Japanese.
Whenever I play Street Fighter, I always put the language.
I think it removes what would be perceived as the campiness because there tends to be this stupid approach.
The voice actors aren't as good.
Definitely not. They're not as serious. You just don't take them as serious.
It's always very like like they're very emphatic.
Right, they're pretending to be Japanese.
Well, it's a cultural shift.
How does that go again, Chris?
It's like that high pitch.
You get an expressive performance in Japanese, and it makes sense. But then when you try to translate that over to American, it just sounds campy or over the top.
Even like Resident Evil.
And because the words that are being said are not direct translation, because to communicate what they're saying in Japanese,
it's like, do you want to hear? No, stop! Yeah, like they're gonna say,
Now, one thing about Final Fantasy, I do have to admit, is it was a game I could never finish. As a kid, even as a mid-adult, when I start, it is one of the hardest games to play. And it has nothing to do with turn-based combat. It has zero information of where you are or what you need to do.
Another thing.
I feel like we just missed something.
I am so lost in that game at any given moment. If I've probably played the first, quarter of the game at least 5, 6, 7 times. And I would always just slip out of the game. And anytime you try to go back, you would lose your place. You would need a guide. It is a game that absolutely requires playing with one of those,
Game Facts.
You'd have to dial up Game Facts or honestly just buy the real guide and have it and play page by page, because it was just one of, and everything about the game is you're reading text. There's no voiceover, so you were just sitting there clicking and reading. You've read the Bible by the time you're done with that game, I'm sure. And I could just never get it done. This would be the first, like when we get the last part of this remake, it would be the first time I truly finished the game myself and didn't watch, via, YouTube cutscene, Also would recommend, Rob, I know you're into it. Did you watch the Final Fantasy Advent Children animated film?
No, I didn't.
You should definitely, when you're done with this.
That's about Zach?
It's about Cloud, and it's about after the events of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the post events of 7, so it's really good. And
interesting.
Just the whole the graphic style, the high polish, whatever animation that they use, really sends it home.
But yeah, I honestly I can't say enough good things about it. I can't stop playing it. I'm 60 hours into the fucking game.
Love it. It's talking about
60 hours.
We're talking about a small part of a game.
And when you think about it, I'm not done with the game. There's still a lot more shit to do, and I've already exceeded the entire amount of time I played God of War.
So to Chris's,
from soup to platinum.
Is it worth this one? Worth every $1. You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah,
you're getting a large game.
Not for you. I wouldn't want you to play.
Chris, I feel like there's a trend on this show. Every time you say it's not going to happen, it happens. I'm not buying Helldivers. It happened. I'm not buying.
Those are usually
I'm not buying
multiplayer
Tears
games.
of the Kingdom.
That
It happened. I'm not going to play Fortnite.
I didn't
it
play
happened.
I didn't play Zelda still. I
You
bought
bought
it.
it.
I
Doesn't
never
matter.
played
You
it.
bought it.
I bought it and I wasted them. I never
It
played it.
happened.
But these are usually multiplayer games. I'm not getting Final
I'm not
Fantasy.
getting it.
I
It's
didn't
not
play the
happening.
last fucking 14. I'm not gonna get the. It's just there's too many. It's too late. I
2
missed too
weeks
much
later.
of it.
Oh, I love Final Fantasy. It's pretty good.
That's not gonna happen. I have no interest. I
I
always
will
thought.
say that if
I
you're
always
gonna play
thought
this, you
that.
got to play the first one first.
See,
I always thought that Cloud looked whack. In my opinion,
Who says
the way-
whack anymore?
He
What
fuck,
year is
that's
it?
what he looks like to me. I was like
Whack?
7 years old. I was like, okay, he's whack. And the fucking sword, the oversized sword, I just thought it looked so cheesy, and I
Final
never wanted to play it.
Fantasy.
The name Final Fantasy too. It's
Fantasy.
like, what is that? Fantasy? Or they
Oh
fucking?
my.
I don't know. I never wanted to play the game. Never had any interest.
He read a book by its cover and just decided.
I read the book by the cover. I saw what Cloud looks like. I saw the
Cloud.
sword. I thought
Cloud.
the
Cloud
sword
was
looks
badass.
stupid. It's
So you thought-
oversized.
you
The
thought
sword's like 3
Buster
times.
sword looks.
You thought he
stupid.
has an oversized large sword, and are they fucking?
I thought the sword looks
That's-
stupid. He's fucking. It's like 4 times the size of him.
Tifa.
No person
to
would
see
be
is
able to
Tifa.
hold the thing or fucking wield it
Lower.
because it's so tall. It's fucking dumb.
how strong
I don't know,
he
I'm gonna
is.
let you- yeah.
Tifa.
He
Tifa-
doesn't look
Tifa
like it. He looks like he
soldier.
fucking eats kale.
It's all about
Soldier
Tifa.
program.
This is what I came back to this couch for.
No,
listen.
more than anything, I didn't play the last 14 or 15 or whatever, and that's why I'm not gonna.
So you
it's
should
just
have
too
no
late.
opinion one way or the other.
I don't really have much of an opinion. I mean, I remember Phil, and this is a question I had for you, Rob, is why are you playing this, but you didn't play the one that came out like earlier this year or last year, Final Fantasy 15, the newest one?
Because I already got invested in this.
But
I'm
that-
just enjoying this story. It's really
So
what it
this
comes
is the
down to.
first thing to really get you into Final Fantasy at all.
Yeah, I want to finish this story. This
Will
was my
you play the new
introduction.
one that came out now that you've played this?
It's a completely different story, completely different people. I'm enjoying it because of Cloud and Tifa, and like this story is a great story.
Well, I get that, but maybe the new one's a great story.
It could be, and I haven't seen any gameplay. I mean, maybe when I finish this, if I'm feeling there's a hole there and I want to start playing Final Fantasy again, then maybe I'll scoop that in the interim until the. I mean, we had to wait years. And what do we get? 2018 was the last one was released.
They fucking released the remake trailer in 2015 at E3.
Really?
They dropped the
E3 doesn't even
teaser.
exist
E3,
anymore.
They
yeah.
literally dropped a teaser, and it was the intro to 7, but in like an updated style, and everybody lost their minds. And we didn't see anything for like whatever it was,
3 years,
4 or 5 years. I feel like it was longer than that. I feel like they teased this
7 years.
in 2014 or 13, and then it was like a question whether it was even being done. Then the project got not shelved, but they had to redo everything. Whatever approach they were taking wasn't working, so they restarted development, and we didn't get the first remake. And I want to say it was 2018, maybe 2019, but. And now
like it
it's
was
been
more
another 5 years.
I remember you guys all playing the shit out of that one too. I felt like that was like 2 years ago.
Time
But it
just
was definitely
blacked out for
COVID,
4
it's 'cause-
fucking
Yeah, it's
years.
because the pandemic.
Whatever happened in 2019 feels like 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
so we waited another 5 years and another generation, another console to get this second part. And from what I've heard, the developer said we're
Why
going to be
is
waiting
Seth
for.
Rollins dressed like Missy Elliott.
We're going to be waiting till
He always is.
PS6. Well, PS6 to get the final cut of this thing. Wow, that was some outfit, dude. That was out of
Fuck is he
control.
He's always wearing shit.
He looks
that.
like he's in the Think
Looks
Big
like
video.
Kanye and Missy Elliott.
looks like
Probably
Lady
trying
Gaga.
out for the
Lady
for
Gaga.
With the
He's the
glasses.
He's the Lady Gaga of the WWE. That's
Wrong
for
scene.
shit sure.
Hit the wrong button there.
he's in the Think Big music video from Doug.
All right, Joe. I mean, we can't pivot the full conversation, but you want to tell the audience what the hell we're doing right now?
So right now, SmackDown is live, pal, and in the ring you have Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth, and I believe Cody and Seth are about to accept the Rock's challenge for a tag team match on night 1, which is the Saturday of WrestleMania 40, and this is something I told you guys was going to happen, and I'm still sticking to my guns.
And he was saying it since like last year.
We'll get back
almost,
into that when we get to our wrestling topic, but I'll let this play out. Vin, you want to talk about before you touched Final Fantasy, what you got Sweet into playing, and that he doesn't like it now? Because he said he would never play it, doesn't want it, has no interest, but you know
I
what?
never said I would
Before
never
I-
play Helldivers.
Okay.
So on the
No,
last,
I never said I wouldn't play Helldivers.
on our last episode, I was
back up.
pitching everybody
Go back.
to try to buy Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 just launched that week prior, and it was one of the best multiplayer experiences that I've had. It's been a lot of fun. Joe already platinumed the game. I have I think
he platinumed Helldivers.
Yeah,
Joe is like a
Joe's a monster.
He's like an
Joe's
addict,
a
and then once he
monster.
gets high off of the drug, he's done with it, and he'll never touch it again.
yeah, that's his thing.
He
uses
and abuses the game, and then drops it.
I was talking to him on PlayStation chat, and I'm like, Joe, you going to play this next week? He's like, no, I'm playing Final Fantasy.
Well, don't let Joe fool you. Joe will always go back to something else, especially a multiplayer game.
I don't trust him.
He's gone back to Helldivers while we're in the party.
I heard him say he's going to play
Final
again.
Fantasy.
He's just deep in Final Fantasy. It's 100 or 200 hour platinum.
Joe, don't
Final
lie
Fantasy.
to me.
So he said there's no doubt. And the thing about this game is it's live service. It's going to be constant content.
Yeah.
They did a really clever play this week. They actually launched a full update where they did nerf some of the more popular items. They nerfed the bubble shield, the personal bubble shield, and the railgun, which could pretty much take down most things in 2, 3, 4 shots.
Killing bugs.
So, they had to adjust the meta, the meta of the game, as they call it, because they want to make sure the game continues to be dynamic and people come up with new strategies. So the cool thing that they pulled was they wanted to release, or they're releasing the mech. They're going to be walking mech fucking, military vehicles to use.
Like Mech Assault?
Yeah,
Mech Assault?
exactly like Mech Assault. Xbox fucking won. I remember that. That was good. That was a good multiplayer game too.
It was.
So they're bringing the mech in, and the way that they did it was because this is live service, and because they have different planets in the solar system that are in different states of war. They basically said, Helldivers, we have the planet that's manufacturing all of the mechs, but now it's under attack. We actually need you to liberate the planet before before the mechs can become stratagem. So the last day, I think it was just yesterday, basically all the players on Helldivers just started going to this one planet, and they liberated the planet in, I guess, less than 24 hours. So it was kind of based off what the community was doing. That was what I appreciated the most. Because the community liberated the planet, the mechs are now dropping in stratagem, I think tonight or tomorrow. Whereas if they didn't liberate the planet, I'm sure they would have not canceled the DLC, but they may have waited to drop the release of it. So they're just playing with a lot of cool ideas and how to continue to engage the community. The idea of the game is it's not competitive multiplayer PvP. So if you adjust the meta, it's fine. You're not breaking anything that ruins, I think, anybody's experience. It just makes the community have to make that adjustment and say, all right, what's the new? What let me use something different. Because if you figured out the meta in the first 14 days of the game and they never change it, you're going to be done. Like Chris said, you're going to be done in 30 days. Or you're not going to touch this game in a year.
Got to keep it fresh.
So you got to keep it fresh. And I think the approach that the community is affecting the world or the universe makes it more engaging for everybody. So I like spreading democracy. Playing with playing with 3 of your friends. It's just a lot of fun. I never played the game and didn't have a good time.
I read somewhere that on Steam there's bootleg versions of this game.
Dude, yes. So I don't know how Steam allows that. That's like, so basically it's not even a bootleg of the game. It's just that somebody put in the store, buy this to download Helldivers 2, and it's fake. But when people click and engage the link, I'm like, how do they even get a developer account to post on Steam? But that's Steam's fault. That's why like a company, like Apple is so strict about their developer and their app store. Steam is so loose about it. Stupid shit like that can happen and people get ripped off. I'm sure Steam reimbursed, gave credits.
How much money you think they got jacked up?
You figure if they're buying, if
$40
thousands of people are buying the game and getting duped,
that's a lot of money to give back to people.
$100,000 in credits, though. You just give it in credits.
Credits.
Yeah, you could spend this in Steam. Oh, you meant to buy this? Oh, it was a ripoff, and here's $40 to buy the game you want. It's easy for them. It's a write-off too. They fuck it. For a company, that's a write-off. All right, so The Rock is going face to face with Seth Rollins.
I've been reading the captions this whole time, so
Called him Mr. Midlife Crisis.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. He was calling him Diarrhea Dwayne. I didn't like that. I just thought it was
that's just because
kiddie.
Cody Crybabies was Kitty, so
That's
that
true.
was his
Elementary.
retort. Was here's another stupid childish name.
That's true.
Everybody's acting like he dropped the ball. It's like no, he's going to that level of immaturity and whackness.
Seth makes it hard to like him.
But the fans, they'll chant his fucking song for 25 minutes.
Oh, right, you said that.
They'll literally, oh, and I think that's what was happening. I couldn't tell because the captions, but The Rock was talking, and then they stopped to acknowledge whatever the crowd was doing, and Seth started laughing. So I think they were singing his song, maybe. We'll have to rewatch this, but, they're just, it seems like they're teasing tension between Rock and Roman.
Future decisions.
Cody said to The Rock, he said, well, is it your decision to do this because you acknowledge Roman as your tribal chief, so how do you have the power? And then they, looked at each other, and The Rock's like, we're family. But it seems like they're trying to drive the wedge, tease that.
It's obvious.
The power struggle between the two is
it's
obvious.
so.
They're making it so that people want it next year.
He's
going to bet
playing Roman the whole time.
Oh, you think it's a whole time?
I don't think he's playing him. I feel like something's going to happen where he finally is like, fuck
we
this Rudy Poo,
Can we make a bet?
I would.
There's obviously the conspiracy online because he did the different symbol or whatever.
I'll bet
If
a
I'm
couple.
right,
They just teased it right now. I think at the beginning before they came out, it looked like
he was separating and standing away from him.
Yeah, and it looked like I think Roman interrupted him, and he had a look on his face, and
All
then
right,
they
I'm
came
gonna make
out.
this bet right now, and you got to accept it.
I'm not accepting any.
You're gonna
goddamn
fucking
bet.
accept it.
No,
Just
I'm not
listen.
doing
Shut
it.
up and
No,
listen.
because you're gonna make me do something I don't want to fucking do, and
It's
I
not
don't
that
believe
bad.
firmly enough in my point of
Let
view
me
right
just
here.
tell you what I want, and you can decide.
What do you want? It's not gonna happen.
If I'm right,
I'm not playing Final Fantasy.
no, I'm not talking about video games. You have to play Fortnite. No, I'm not kidding. If I'm right, and The Rock, this whole time has plotted and coerced with Cody to screw Roman at WrestleMania, you have to wear on that episode, the next episode, a Bret Hart T-shirt.
Oh, I got no problems wearing a Bret Hart T-shirt.
And if I'm wrong,
You got to get it for me. I'm not fucking
If I-
buying it.
He's got to wait.
If I'm wrong,
The only equal
I
is
will wear
A Shawn Michaels
a
shirt.
Michael shirt.
That's fair.
That's a
We
fair
agree
bet.
on
So that's fair. So my perspective of what would happen then
What
is
is
that alternatively, it's not that he's been playing them all along. It's that he's been trying to make this partnership work, and there's just going to be too many infractions where Roman is trying to assert dominance over The Rock.
Yes.
So that The Rock is it's going to get to a point where The Rock doesn't accept it, and I think it's going to be more like a wedge is driven.
I think that's the power struggle that makes sense. I think if it's a work that The Rock is working Roman the whole time.
Well, The
why
Rock
would-
just called him a mistake.
Well, here's the thing. Here's
you
the
just
thing.
said
Why
you were a
would-
mistake.
Why would The Rock slap Cody and Cody not do anything about it? Why would The Rock give Cody this offer?
Oh, he just slapped him!
him in the
He just
face!
slapped him. There you go.
Right as Joe said
There
it.
you go.
Joe, you
Joe,
called
as,
it,
as
Joe.
was happening, he just bitch slapped him, and The Rock threw the mic.
Oh, he just
Hit one
Cody
of the jabronis.
just
Here comes the
slapped
pull apart.
The Rock.
I called it before the episode. They're gonna.
Oh, they're going to black ads.
What the fuck?
At the end of the episode?
pulled
They
The
just went to a
Sopranos.
commercial.
It's not a commercial. The show's over. It's
Show's
10
over.
o'clock.
It's 10.
Oh, so they're gonna have a post.
They
They'll
just
probably
pulled
put it on
they
in
pulled
the internet.
Sopranos.
So
Fade to
again,
black.
that's a telltale sign of originally The Rock slapped Cody, and Cody didn't really do much.
Well, he
just-
reacted.
He reacted, and
He
now
was
the-
shocked.
and now he just slapped The Rock, and The Rock stood there. He didn't pounce on him. If you slap The Rock in the Attitude Era, he's not going to sit there and smile at you. So again, I'm going
They're
to
having a pull
reiterate.
apart right now. I think.
I'm going to reiterate. The Rock, the entire time. Remember, Cody came out and he said, "I consulted with a counsel."
Sure.
Right.
So
right. On the
this is
Raw.
what they plotted and planned the entire time.
Just to get
It seems I don't see Cody as that scheming.
I'm telling
But
you.
then again, maybe because Seth did say to
Telling you.
Cody, he's like, "What's your plan? You're just gonna go out there, get spiked in the throat again,
Telling
and
you.
that's it." Meanwhile, Cody had a plan the whole time.
Playing all
Do you
through.
think that Dustin's going to come out and help him?
He actually, I think, mentioned him. I was reading the captions. He said,
He
I think
did.
he said
He
your
said that your
brother is a
brother
future
was a-
Hall of Famer.
Either that'll happen or The Rock will gain so much empathy for Cody going through what he's about to go through and getting his ass kicked and struggling and still persevering. And night 2 of WrestleMania, if the bloodline's allowed to be involved, they'll all gang up on Cody, beat him up, and The Rock will be standing there, and they'll be like, "Come on, get in, get your licks in, and he'll just start to feel empathy and sorrow for Cody, and he'll be like, "Man, this is messed up," and he's going to attack the bloodline and go nuts, and then Cody's going to have the upper hand and finally capitalize and win the title.
All of this sounds like,
and then the next week you're going to wear a Bret Hart shirt.
All of this sounds like, though, it would just create an immense amount of empathy for Roman Reigns.
Nah,
because Roman is the one getting absolutely killed.
But people want that. You want the bad guy to get fucked in the end. You don't. You're not going to feel bad. Oh, he got fucked.
I'm not saying that. That's a reason that it wouldn't. Is that how they reset Roman and bring him to a level where people?
Well, how they got Jey Uso over, right? How they got him over is when they had the Sami Zayn in the bloodline. And then finally Roman Reigns turned on Sami Zayn, and everybody was getting their licks in on Sami until Jey was the one standing there, and he was hesitant about hitting him, and he left.
Oh.
And that caused Roman to lash out on Jey and made Jey look like he was vulnerable and he had empathy and things like that. I think they're kind of going in that direction. And now The Rock is going to have empathy not only for Cody but for how Roman treats the rest of his family, because Roman has like an over-embarking like superiority over Jimmy Uso and Solo and anybody else that's going to join the bloodline.
Well, hold on. So that's where I want to jump in here. Imagine this.
And like, just like my family first, jabroni.
Just like you had the NWO Black and White and the NWO Red and Black, the Wolf Pack. What if
the Blue Line?
Well, what if when The Rock and Roman split, Rock comes in with Jacob Fatu, the other,
and Jey Uso,
the other son, and Jey Uso comes in. So now you have
Well,
Solo.
It's going to be Jimmy and Jey at WrestleMania. That's official.
They made that official already?
No, but
they've been talking about. Yeah, it's pretty much. It's all but official.
When they came out numbers 1 and 2 at the Royal Rumble, I was like, oh, they're going to do that.
Yeah,
next.
no, that's a foregone conclusion for sure. Yeah. But I mean, think about that now. Just mirroring it, you have Roman, Jimmy, Solo, and then you have Rock, Jacob, Jey, and whoever else might get thrown into the mix. Then you have 2 rivaling factions of the bloodline. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's going to happen, but Jacob Fatu is a free agent now.
It's going to happen.
I feel like
we're jumping the gun again.
Yeah, we're jumping the gun, but now I'm thinking Cody.
The slap.
Does that put Cody over in a way that the audience is going to like? Because that means he's then like
Cody cheating to win.
Remember when The Rock became Vince McMahon's number 2 there?
Corporate
Rock, yeah. Makes it like corporate Cody in my mind.
Not necessarily, because it's a matter of The Rock realizing that, and you're never going to beat this guy because they're just never going to let you. Because they're going to constantly interfere in the match.
I get
they're
you.
constantly. This is why he's creating this match. He's like, if you guys beat us, no bloodline in night 2, and you'll have a straight one-on-one match. Because the last year, Cody had him beat until interference, and that's what caused him to lose. So I don't.
But then The Rock was just saying that if you lose this match, he's like, I work for. He's like, I'm on the board. He's like, I'll make sure you never have a shot at this again.
Well, so here's the thing too. The stipulation is if they win on night 1, there's no bloodline in night 2. But that's kind of dumb, because then it makes it seem like it's been perfectly okay that they've been interrupting the match this whole time. Like, how do you enforce that? It should always be, well, there's no interference.
There's no way.
How do you enforce a no interference when the whole point is that they're not supposed to interfere?
That's a carrot that they're dangling. There's no way on night 1 The Rock and Roman are losing. Because if Roman loses on night 1, what do I need to see night 2 for? Obviously he's going to lose.
Yeah.
So they're just
Well, no, you get to look forward to the fact that they can have a match that won't be interrupted.
No. What if they interrupt the tag match?
But if Cody and Seth are good enough to beat both The Rock and Roman, why would I believe that Roman can actually beat Cody on a 1-on-1 match?
What if The Rock's the one that loses it? What if The Rock gets pinned, and then Roman starts flexing on The Rock,
and then that's another reason.
And that's another reason for
that'll
for a
probably
split there.
Be when you see the beginning of the. We've seen the crack. I think the first crack with Roman and The Rock was when Roman grabbed The Rock's hand, because he's about to say, "If you
I just don't think it's a
Rock
crack. I think he's been playing him the whole time. But we'll see.
I get you. Okay, I'm leaning towards it's not a full work like to that degree. Again, just because of how I think it makes
not a work. It's built into the storyline where The Rock.
Maybe the work is a wrong.
Yeah,
word.
I get it.
But I do think I would prefer, let's just say, the idea that eventually the relationship with The Rock and Roman so untenable because it's such a power struggle between them anyway, and that The Rock is so dominant, so alpha, that Roman has to basically confront The Rock.
The only thing about
that's his history. He did that with Jimmy and Jay.
So we're still avoiding something that we've referenced in the past because in the last WrestleMania, we wanted Rock and Roman. We wanted that. That was something that was on the table.
I said night 1, and then night 2, I wanted Cody to win the title. I've said that since last year's ended.
Well, no. I'm just saying before last WrestleMania, we had said, The Rock's going to appear at the Hollywood WrestleMania, and we're going to see Rock and Roman, and everybody kind of wants that. Right. They need to keep. They still want to keep that on the back burner.
It's going to be a build up till next year.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know. I guess that you could. That's why you could definitely be right.
The only problem
with
your theory is if they do that, it's putting too much spotlight on Rock and Roman and not enough on Cody. That was the main
Seth.
issue with Cody in the first place, is that they just took the spotlight off of him after he won the Royal Rumble miraculously again to get another shot at his dream at finishing his story, and then they threw the focus on The Rock and Roman, and the fans shit all over it, which I told you literally as it happened. I said the fans are going to shit on this. And then Twitter just blew up, X, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
That's a work.
They went nuts.
That was a work, in my opinion.
Let's get back on track here.
All right, but we're still on track. We're still on track. Because
we were talking about Helldivers.
Yeah, WWE 2K is better.
All right.
You guys
okay, so hold on. No, hold on. I even said we don't have much to say about Helldivers, and now you're agreeing with me. I finally played it. I finally played the game. I have to say, because Phil Dunphy on the show said that Helldivers was better than Starfield, and that's just absolute nonsense. It's a pretty good game. You know, it's a PvE, so you're just shooting bugs or shooting robots. It's fun, but it's gonna peter out. I don't see the game. Okay, you can kill bugs. I don't know. It was all right.
Played it one time.
I didn't play it one time. I played it 3 different days for about an hour each time.
This is the least amount he's cursed on an episode yet.
And it was good, but I just, I'm not. It didn't leave me itching to keep playing more and more and more. It's getting better. I think that I have to get a little bit further for it to get better and more enjoyable. So, I will give it that. But I can already make the definitive conclusion that this is not in any way near Starfield's fucking realm. You could talk shit about the people that played, the amount of players and whatever the fuck, but you can just do way more. This game, you do one thing. You shoot hordes. That's it.
Here's my question. I have one question and we can move on.
What else is there? You just shoot bots. That's it. Whereas Starfield, you have building ships.
What are you shooting in Starfield?
People, fucking
bots,
aliens, all kinds of shit. There's fucking all different kinds of races or whatever.
You're still shooting a computer, though. You're not shooting another person.
Yeah.
But it's
the
not
difference between if it's a bug or a Terminator.
But that's what I'm saying. You have that, but you also have building, fucking crafting, all kinds of different systems in place that just make it a way more robust and deep game.
So here's my question to the both of you, and this will determine whether I pick up this fucking game. Because if it's a live service game and if it's a shooter, you have to nail these 2 elements for me to want it. One, does it feel good, and are you enjoying shooting the different guns?
Right. Yes.
Yes or no?
Nailed it. Gunplay in the game.
Okay.
Very good.
So shooting the guns is enjoyable.
There's no.
And physically, the hit detection. Is the hit detection when you're actually hitting a target, seeing blood splat, is that good and is that enjoyable?
100%. 100%.
There's nothing, the guns do not feel unique to me at all. There's no
there's no weight, there's no
the
feeling. The
sound of the gun, the even like the adaptive triggers that we have now, it does not feel like the guns
have you used?
Whatever, I don't even know because they all have stupid names.
The shotgun or the machine gun.
I used the
battle rifle.
like 6 different guns. I used the machine gun.
Rifle?
There's the assault rifle.
Gun,
there's a machine gun. There's the sniper. I like the sniper.
Flamethrower.
I use the sniper. I haven't used the flamethrower yet.
The shotgun and the sniper's the same. They fucking shoot the same way. Is what you're saying?
No, I mean they're unique, but it's not. It's not like in Halo where each gun has a personality to me.
It was Halo's the bar. Destiny.
Halo's the bar, but
Destiny's the bar.
Even Destiny, it's not
Bungie,
close to Destiny. I'll even say that, and I fucking hate Destiny.
Bungie's the bar, but it was one of the things that I noticed without you even asking.
Gears of War too.
I had really said, gunplay feels good. Action on the gun feels good. It just has that. it does what you think it would do. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't think that it's anywhere near unique or differentiating from.
No, yes, it was good. The question was, is
good
it good?
enough.
I said it's good.
Is it fun too?
It's fun. It's definitely
fun.
feels good.
pretty fun.
I love the diving aspect of it. I keep saying it, but I just think there's something about diving to the ground and shooting and
out
staying.
of your Final Fantasy kick and you go back to the game, I'll pick it up.
Deal.
Yeah,
that's a deal.
I mean, I want to play it more.
100%.
You know, I want to get
I'm
further.
Not
Well,
buying
have
it, and then
fun.
I log in, and 8 of you are in a party, and you're all playing Final Fantasy.
No, it makes sense. I get that. I totally understand. It's the timing of the game, but I will say the benefit of this is the first couple of weeks were buggy, so that's something that many people might not have wanted to overcome.
Yeah, you're supposed to
Now
shoot them.
we're going to go through a couple of updates where the game has maybe balanced out a little more and there's a little more content. So I think by jumping in maybe 8 weeks later, you're not losing out. And
But am I losing out because you're level 50 and I'm level 1 and I
Nah,
can't
it
kill
doesn't
anything?
matter. It
we'll have
doesn't
to
matter.
carry you a bit, and you know
It doesn't matter.
It depends
that
what we
much.
do,
I
but
mean,
if we're able to carry you a few levels and you get like max XP, you'll be up there pretty quick. You
here's
won't have
the thing
grind,
to know
you
about
won't
this
have to
game.
grind the way we had to grind to get there because I didn't have the ability to piggyback too much, so I couldn't get those like heavy XP. Play it on extreme. There's like 10
Am
difficulties.
I actually going to be able to kill shit?
Yes, but
Oh,
here's
yeah.
the thing to know about this game. What makes it unique? It's not even so much about the shooting. The game is very based around these things called stratagems, which are pretty much like orbital strikes that you can call from the sky. There's different things you can call down a certain weapon that you like a sniper or an assault rifle or a
Like a
rocket
care
launcher.
package.
There's
Yeah, it's
that,
like when you-
there's
it's like-
care
it's like
package,
in-
and there's full blown like 500 kilogram,
There's different types
500,000
of
pound nuke
strikes.
bomb, and then there's like a flaming napalm,
Like a carpet bomb.
Vietnam, and it's like
You
You
bomb
call
the
in
bugs.
ammo
You can
like
call
they
in
did in
the
Metal
enemy.
Gear.
Yeah.
Cluster
Buggies
bombs
and
that
the-
drop and then they make
If it
clusters.
bleeds, we can
Clusters
kill
and
it.
the bombs and the
Yeah.
things.
And there's
inside.
different sizes. Like
And then you
some
kill the
go
robots.
some go like this, some go straight. So there's, the
then-
stratagems are what really, and right now in the beginning, I don't have any. Like I have a
Call for
sniper.
the chopper and the
Oh.
bombs come down into the robotications.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
And you're fighting fucking one of the other things besides, on the eastern front is the bugs. On the western front is the Terminators.
Yes.
So you're fighting like these fucking
Yeah.
sentient,
Yes.
Ultron, Terminator 2, T-1000.
they're
it's-
fucking
Sorry,
hard,
not
man.
T-1000. What's
They're
his
hard
model?
to kill.
T-600?
T-1000.
T-800.
800, T-800.
Right.
Sorry, I can't believe I
A
forgot
human
that.
cybernetic organism made out of exoskeleton.
Yeah,
Liquid
metal.
Liquid
metal.
T-1000. That gives some dynamic feel to the game too, because the enemies that you're fighting, it's not the same bullshit over and over. The stratagems. I mean, you fought
It's
the
bugs or
robots.
robots.
The buggies.
Again,
I haven't
mean,
seen the
and
crazy shit. I haven't
to-
seen a giant monster
If you
bug
don't
yet,
like
so.
fucking, if you don't like Call of Duty Zombies, if you didn't like Gears of War Horde, if you didn't like that shit, you're not gonna like this game.
Rubber
This isn't the
baby buggy
universal.
bumpers.
Everyone's
I like
gonna
Borderlands.
just love it, but if you like the squad based kind of tactical. 'cause
Borderlands is a better game.
But it's not multiplayer.
Borderlands is
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the same
4-player.
PvE multiplayer, 4-player
yeah.
PvE
Is it?
Borderlands
with
day
more
one.
unique guns. The guns
Yeah.
feel way better. They
different
all feel
classes.
Oh,
differentiated.
and this guy,
way
Mr.
different
Fucking
enemies.
Never
Graphics,
played
Mr.
Borderlands?
Oh, he likes the cell shaded.
It's
fucking
cool.
Cartoons.
It's a
Wow.
style that looks
Eh,
cool.
Borderlands has
Man.
And
the,
it's
the
not.
humor
Hold
in
on. The whole
Borderlands.
thing. You guys keep bastardizing what I said about
He cursed.
graphics.
He cursed.
If it's a
Bashing.
multiplayer PvP war game, I want realistic graphics. If it's
it's
anything
Fortnite.
else, I don't care if it's got scaled
You're
back.
shooting the buggies. It's realistic with the buggies and the
Graphics, the
buggy
graphics are good.
bumpers. It's
Graphics
nice.
are good on Helldivers, I will
Yeah.
say.
Yes,
They
it's
they meet my criteria for
Yeah.
at least kind of realistic looking, even though it's fantasy and science fiction and
bugs.
whatnot.
Big aspect to the game too.
The big ass
but that's
buggies.
Can't
PvE.
overlooked. Even though it is PVE, there
Yeah.
is team damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a heavy element to the
The
game.
friendly fire.
There's friendly fire. You better fucking
right.
duck
Yao
down.
will drop an orbital cannon
Stratagems,
right
yeah,
on you.
You're
Fucking
just dead meat. Yao.
It's
Yao
like
just-
I'm coming
Yao
in the
drops.
gym,
I got
I'm coming
killed
at
by like
home.
Yao's fucking
no wonder
bombs
why
like
he
5 or
fucking
6
hates
times.
the game.
the bomb here.
It's funny when you set up like a Gatling gun. It's heat seeking, so it
Yeah.
just spins and fucking kills anything it sees.
Yeah.
And if you're in the middle of what it's
Yeah, just
aiming at, you're just
one
dead
bullet will kill
fucking
you.
meat.
One bullet.
But it's really cool if you're, after you do it wrong the first few times. When you're diving and crawling and it's shooting over your head, mowing down the fucking bugs in front of you, and you're shooting,
and the earth
it just feels cool.
The earth changes. If a bomb comes down, it makes a crater, which is nice. Like, it's not like you have a solid, unbreakable ground. If a bomb hits it, there's a crater there that you could then like go into for some cover. The other thing that you might like, Joe, since you like the fighter games, which a lot of that is like combo based, and
does it have the flexible arms and the rock'em sock'em jetpack?
It does not have that, but
does have jetpack.
When you call the stratagem, you have to hit like left, right, up, down. Some like there's like combos of things you gotta hit.
Tiger,
which it tells you what they are on the screen, but like
Tiger knee.
The better you get at it, the quicker you can do it, and it's like just another little.
And then you can memorize it because I already remember
like
what it's like.
The orbital cannon is like left, down, right, or something like
fire.
that. Yeah.
So your whole triangle. One thing I saw in a video that I didn't think to do was, when I'm going to do the stratagems, instead of strafing, because sometimes I'd strafe and kind of, claw the controller. I saw this guy, he just dove on the ground and did it real quick, and all the fire was going over him. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. You go on the ground doing the stratagems. Stratagems.
Helldivers is all right.
It's fun.
It's a pretty good game.
Easy, $40 worth every fucking penny.
It's good that it's $40.
Well, we should stream it. This podcast stream would
okay.
be a lot of fun.
I'm in.
With him doing the Arnold. Oh my God, bro! We'll have
that would be funny with the robots.
There was a night we did Arnold and Peter. It was fantastic.
I played it twice.
Everybody loved it.
See, Rob's of the same opinion.
But
anyway. It's you have to play for a certain amount before it becomes fun, I think.
I only played it on easy. I tried
if a
playing
hot
it by
anime
myself
streeter starts telling him to play the game, he'll start playing the game.
It was I would say bad timing or whatever, because you're talking about one of the most
played the Final
anticipated
Fantasy,
fucking remakes
ever. The cloud and these things.
the cloud and the
it's poor timing for sure. Worth every penny, worth the $40.
Poor timing also, because not only did Final Fantasy come out,
we got GTA.
We got a segue. No, not that. WWE 2K.
No.
WWE again.
That's right.
All right, let me go take a nap.
WWE 2K.
Poor Rob. Wait, but you just bought it. You bought it.
I didn't even open it.
How do you open it?
Well, you can't, because it released today, so you couldn't have opened it.
I pre-ordered it. I got early access. I didn't play it.
Well, you can't
bad
open
timing.
a digital game. Anyway,
it's timing, but solid let's talk about our first impressions. Joe, you and I have played it. We've done a couple of streams of WWE 2K24.
We'll talk about first night. We were live, pal.
The
release.
12 o'clock release, we were playing it, and we did an online game. We did a couple of online games. We did an online Royal Rumble. It was a lot of fun. It was funny. I think I don't remember who I was the first one. Vader.
I popped into the stream and I commented it towards the end.
It was fun. It was stable. So here's the first thing. Just first impressions from playing it. Online is a bit more stable. It's not perfect, but it's improved upon. There were some games that fell apart, but that's also probably there was a patch. And there's also just people are assholes and they just join shit and quit because they have no consideration.
They're babies because they get beaten, pinned.
Exactly.
And they don't want to stand anymore.
But we did a Royal Rumble and we had it was me, him, and like 4 other jabronis. And we eliminated them.
Yeah.
We would still fight each other here or there, but we eliminated them.
I just hit them once just to make face that we're not
right. Exactly. You got to do a couple of hits.
And it's like, help me!
Yeah. And we eliminated the jabronis who, if they stayed, they would know you just come in again as somebody else, so you could keep playing.
Great.
And most of them, maybe they play as 1 or 2 more people, but I got eliminated, so they quit. That's fine. They got eliminated from the Royal Rumble. You can quit the game. Fine. We fought against all the bots. I came close with Vader. Vader was like #1 entry, and he was there to to the end.
And The Rock beat the Vader.
Yeah, it was good Royal Rumble, very funny, stable. We also did some special guest referee matches, which were, in my opinion, for me as the special guest referee, Jerry Lawler, were absolutely fucking hilarious.
Fucking scumbag is removing the turnbuckle, and I got the guy pinned in the sharpshooter.
No, they kicked out right away. You didn't have him beat at that point. So what we were doing is
quick 1, 2, 3.
Well, so now with the special guest referee, this is a new thing that they added, or an old thing that they brought back for online, and there's like a meter, so you can't be totally unfair. Because if I walk up to Joe's opponent and slap him in the face, the meter's going to go, and like if I hit him again, I'm getting booted out.
And they're going to change the ref.
Gotcha. They change the ref, but they also give you like about 15 seconds or so before the new ref comes in. So like if I hit him with the chair and then Joe pins him and it says new ref inbound, because I time it. if I time it right, we can actually
win
still
before?
screw him. I did it against a robot. I fought computers, and I was the special guest, and it gave me more of like a tutorial of how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if the meter fills, you have about 15 seconds, and it says like it's fair game. Like if you pin them, they win. But I was Jerry the King Lawler, and Joe was the Ultimate Warrior facing against Triple H, a real player. And it was funny as fuck. I'd be like, all right, Joe, I'm going to expose the turnbuckle, and then you throw him into the corner. And then when Joe throws him into the corner, I turn my back, and I'm like taunting at the crowd. So I miss it. But here's the thing. If he did the same thing to Joe, I would allow it. You know what I mean? I was still impartial. I was just kind of coordinating with Joe.
The guy got so pissed that he threw me outside the ring, and he grabbed a chair from underneath the ring and
a sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer.
No, he grabbed the sledgehammer first. He came into the ring with it. Yeah. And I, as the referee, I hit O, and it like poked him in the eyes. And then it's the funniest fucking thing. He drops it, and then I bring it out of the ring. Then they're wrestling for a little while. And then Joe, Triple H ends up exposing the turnbuckle. And then Joe reverses, throws him into it. I look away again. And then at that point, when he throws Joe out of the ring, he grabbed the sledgehammer and he hits him with it. And then meanwhile, I was in the corner fixing the turnbuckle. Because you're supposed to fix it, otherwise you get penalized as the referee. So I had my back turned, so he picks up the sledgehammer to hit Joe, but then right at the moment that he hits Joe, I turned around. It was
DQ'd him.
Perfect timing, and then I DQ'd him, and Joe won. And it was funny shit, man.
You remember, like,
That's
it was...
I was laughing my ass off.
Last year, like, we did this whole, like, concoction, and we fucking jerry-rigged the MacGyver to play the Nintendo 64, and we streamed No Mercy Royal Rumble.
Yep.
We could do that now at the comfort of our own homes because we've been talking about it for years, how these 2K WWE games need online Royal Rumble, and now they have it. Yeah, so you can have 8 different live action players,
real players,
competing in a Royal Rumble, and there's 30 superstars that can come out. So if you get eliminated, you can select the next guy that comes out.
Still no Sergeant Slaughter, though.
He might be in a DLC because he was in a DLC the last 2K game.
The cool thing about it too is you could actually select what entrance you want in the Royal Rumble and what entrant you want him to come out. So if I want Hulk Hogan to come out number 30, I can assign him to number 30, and then it's the luck of the draw. If you just happen to get eliminated at the end of the match and there's one guy left and you still need to pick a character, you're coming out and you're going to get Hulk Hogan as your character. No. So it adds a different element and strategic element to it. So that's cool. For streaming services, just for like viewership, we had so many like people in the chat saying, "Hey, play this guy, play this guy." At one point, Martin was in there, and they were like, "We want Brett and Sean in the ladder match as a team together."
Oh, that's true. Joe and I tagged up. I was Sean, Joe was Brett, and we faced these two guys, and they ended up. It was like LA Knight and somebody else. They ended up fucking We were beating the shit out of them in the beginning. We were beating their ass in the beginning, and then fucking they came back. They came back.
You guys got split up. You guys kind of got split up, and you couldn't build. Yeah, I saw that. Joe's getting his ass kicked in the ring.
How did the sharpshooter tapped out? It's a ladder match.
Ladder match, yeah.
Right. It wasn't
not the right place. But, I mean, the first Rumble we did was 80s Royal Rumble. Then we did an Attitude Era Royal Rumble, so you can definitely theme it. And it was funny. I got eliminated, and I was able, number 30 came out, which we knew was Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
And who ended up beating me? It was like some small guy. It wasn't Rey Mysterio, but...
Rey Mysterio was kicking your ass.
Yeah.
He was like flipping all over the... he was taking it to you. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We had a lot of fun. It's a lot more of a hardcore game. So here's one of the big things for me too, as far as like initial impressions. I've mentioned before, one of like the most memorable feelings for me was in GTA 4 when you fucking just crack somebody in the head with a bat, because it felt so like the weight of it. It felt so real, like the ragdoll physics, like that thunk. It was like oof, you know.
That
oof.
guy got hurt.
And I gotta say, this game, when you pick up a chair and you fucking throw it at Kurt Angle's bald head, and it just fucking, it gives you that oof, like that.
And you get a trophy for
thunk
it too.
feeling.
Oh,
yeah, you get some trophies for it.
Perfect.
So very hardcore. There was a point where I was power bombing Randy Orton out of the ring, and I had him up like this in a power bomb position, and then Solo Sikoa picked up a kendo stick, and while I had Randy up here, he threw it at Randy. So it's like, and then I threw him out, and I was like, this game is fucking great. I think the phrase for the last one was it hits different, but this game actually hits different. It's got like a weight to it. It's got a good feel to it. You know, when somebody's doing a move, you can interrupt it, and like the physics, like the reaction to getting hit, are like a little bit more realistic.
It just looks like a more polished version of what came out last year.
100%. I mean, the backstage is the exact same backstage.
It's the things that we wanted, but whatever. There were
It's
limitations.
more polished, and it has way more attention to detail.
Yeah.
So examples are like blood stays on the mat.
Oh.
Your blood can get,
Everywhere.
more blood will come out of your head the more you hit the head.
Gotcha.
Like you can at the end of the match, you could just be pouring blood.
It'll go down onto your chest.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, bleeding like a stuffed pig, King.
One of our matches, there was blood all over the
Over the
ring.
mat.
Like it was just
The
smeared
other thing
everywhere.
is like if you're picking a character like Ultimate Warrior or Sting or any character that has face paint over the duration of the match because you're sweating and you're getting exhausted, the paint actually wears off your face.
That's
so
cool.
just a little attention to details that like these
Immersion.
nuances are immersing you into the match and into the actual combat. It's really good. The roster's pretty good. Not the greatest roster, but it's
pretty damn
pretty
good.
damn good. I am going to say that I have the #1 created alternate attire Ultimate Warrior on
Nice.
Creation Suite. So if you want that Warrior, if you search for Ultimate Warrior, mine's going to be the first one that pops up. You can click on Joe Flex NY, follow my content, and you can see all the stuff that I post on there. Mostly what I do is I will edit the in-game characters and give them the attires that they wore. Authentic looking attires, because 2K did a shitty job on some of them. I should be working for 2K at this point because I fixed so many of their fucking errors and glitches and miscolorations and mismatched shit. So I'll go in there and I'll put like, I think yesterday I uploaded Shawn Michaels, 2 of them. I uploaded the Screwjob Shawn Michaels, so he has his Screwjob attire, full regalia with the entrance attire. Nice. I have his hair the way it is. I have Shawn Michaels from the Royal Rumble in '97 when he was in Texas, and he had the Texas like tights on his logo with the beard and the chain and the cowboy hat. So it's completely detailed exactly how you would expect it in the matches they had in those years back then.
That's I think my biggest criticism is, and Joe would probably agree, is like the stats that they give these guys are the most off. Like they had like fucking Shawn Michaels and Brett were like 87. But then you have like Jey Uso 91 or I mean it's like they're weighing it in favor of current day guys.
Rated than Shawn Michaels.
They're waiting.
I'm not a Shawn Michaels fan, but he's not higher rated than.
They're handicapping the new guys.
They're
Logan
definitely
Paul's higher rated than Kurt Angle. Come the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And where
Roman Reigns is a 97, but Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan are like 95s, 94. Right. What?
And where that actually matters is when you want to do an online match.
Yes, because
I don't want to play as Shawn with level 87 against fucking.
Well, you can turn on custom, and if you turn on custom, then it'll take over if you recalibrated their stats.
Yeah,
because you can go into the game, and change their stats, and you can put it to whatever you want.
Yeah, everyone's.
But if you turn off the filter that won't allow customization, and you have to play with the default characters with their default ratings, then you're going to play with an 84 Shawn against 97 Roman, and it's going to be a tough battle for you.
Crap.
My only gripes about the game, it still has a little bit of polish left to do. There's still some clipping and some glitches with like limbs getting, pretzeled into how they shouldn't look and little things like that. The other thing too is this is an unfortunate thing, but last minute they cut out Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar from the game, and when you're playing the 2K Showcase mode, which is the 40 years of WrestleMania, it highlights about 21 of WrestleMania's greatest matches. In doing so, it shows you a documentary-style real footage of the matches as it happened, and a lot of the matches have photos in it of a referee or Mean Gene Okerlund, or the turnbuckle says WWF or the logo, and it's all blurred out. So it just looks like shit.
Ruins it.
It just ruins it. Looks like shit.
It doesn't ruin it.
It just takes
like,
away from like. We know who that is.
Yeah.
Pay his fucking family. I know he's passed away. Mean Gene wasn't a pervert. He didn't fucking ask for peeing videos. He didn't want a golden shower. Just pay his fucking family.
Yeah. It would probably just become way too, if you had to pay everybody, I'm making excuses for corporate chills.
It wasn't like that years ago.
Do that.
Like years ago, they didn't.
But
do
that's
that.
what it is. That's the lawyers. We've talked about this before. You can't play the song on Grand Theft Auto.
And they need to edit it better to where you don't see the blur. Like take the time to edit it better.
That might happen in time with AI and shit like that. They might be able to do
it better.
that.
It's just sloppy.
Yeah.
See that.
Instead of just a blurring.
It's my opinion.
Help.
But if it was made in like the 90s, they would have just blurred it like that.
I would
so
I would definitely say a must buy if you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
It's definitely probably the best wrestling game to come out since the PS2 Here Comes the Pain, and then even before that you had No Mercy WrestleMania 2000 on a Nintendo 64. The amount of customization options in the game, the amount of match types, and the nicest thing about all these match types are playable online.
Yeah.
You can have online elimination chamber, online
we
Royal
did a couple
Rumble,
of those.
online backstage brawl, online battle royale,
Ambulance match,
ambulance
casket match.
Backstage brawl must be fun.
You can
It
do
is.
war games.
It's
online.
very hardcore.
It's very good.
I conglomerated like all the props and the shit that they have just laying around.
That's why we lost
backstage, and
that
I made a
fucking
pile.
match. I'm getting my ass kicked in the fucking ring by 2 people,
That's
and
not
this
true.
prick is outside grabbing ladders, grabbing chairs, grabbing.
That's
this.
not
Get
true
in
at
the
all.
fucking ring and
That was the
help me.
Fatal 4 match that you screwed me 3 times.
One time.
3 times.
One time. And
3.
he holds the grudge.
3.
Oh,
Go back and
boy,
rewatch
you.
it. There were 3
Boy,
times
you.
I was gonna get my special, and you
Oh,
interrupted
boy,
it
you.
every time.
Boy, you.
Every time.
It's all a big nothing.
But very
Missed
worth
that.
watching the stream for sure. Worth getting the game.
The
Very
next time my niece comes over, she's gonna want to make her character. So
yeah.
I really buy those games to play with her because that's like the one game she like begs for every time she comes over.
How awesome is that?
It's
You know?
fun,
Just shows that formula works. Everybody just wants to beat
I even got a
somebody,
picture
you
of
know?
her playing the
that's true.
Portal at her house.
Yeah, that was cute.
So she was playing 2K at my at her house with my Portal,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Awesome.
And I honestly haven't even, I've like barely scratched the surface. I haven't done anything creation-wise. Normally the first thing I do is I go through every move in the game, and I create a move set with the best moves in the game, and I didn't even touch that yet. Didn't do any of the showcase. I know you did, so far. So I mean, they do a really good job with the showcase of transitioning from real footage to gameplay. Like it was seamless in the last game. I don't know about this game.
It's the same, but I got to be honest, I'm kind of over how they have the formula. Because it's like, okay, you're playing. I played the last match I played was WrestleMania 25, Shawn versus Undertaker, and it's a long match. And it's like if you want to get all the unlockables within that match, like the ring and the alternate attires and the arena and things like that, you got to do all these different challenges within the match. And it's like hit him 5 times, punch him in the corner, throw him in the
Reverse
southeast
this many
corner.
times. Yeah.
It's like it's just repetitive. It's like it takes away the flow of what you would be doing by just enjoying playing the match because you have to stick to a specific criteria to meet.
I kind of
in
like
order
that though. It's like it's trying to make it authentic to the actual match. You're doing the same moves that they did in the
but
match.
it's just I don't know. I'm kind of over that formula.
It walls you in. It's not as
it's
open gameplay.
yeah.
But if you want that, you could just do a regular match. You could
Yeah.
just start a Hell in a Cell between Undertaker and
but
Shawn.
here's the thing: like some of them are so tedious that
Yeah.
you'll go through 16 challenges, and now you're at the end of the match where you're completely depleted of health, both of you.
Right.
And if he pins, you got to start all over and do all those 16 challenges. all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah, it can be frustrating.
It's fucking annoying.
I remember that from the Stone Cold one.
It's annoying.
What?
But solid game, worth getting. Can't wait for you guys to finally play it and for us to all do a stream. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm still playing Final Fantasy. Well, I
It's not
have
happening anytime soon.
work.
But you're never gonna beat that game. It's gonna take you forever.
He's gonna
Well,
call out.
you
of work.
will of
It's
By
anybody.
next
You
week,
will.
by the next episode, if I don't have that game completed, I don't
I'd
know.
be
I'll buy everybody
surprised.
donuts.
But at what cost?
Yeah,
I'd be
nice.
surprised.
Jelly.
But having a lot of fun with WWE 2K. We were watching SmackDown when it was on, so we talked a little bit about wrestling, but we do have some wrestling stuff to go through as our final topic of the night. Joe, who so far is going to be in this Hall of Fame now?
Yeah, so we had an episode a couple of weeks ago where we had like a want list of superstars throughout the years who were not in the Hall of Fame. So I was giving off my list, and the first name that I said on the list was Paul Heyman. And I said that Paul Heyman is not only deserving to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's
Makes the
deserving to
most
be in the
sense.
Hall of Fame this year because it's in Philly.
Right.
And Philly is known for being into the ECW arena. South Philadelphia is where ECW made its bread and butter in the ECW arena, and he's heralded there.
Didn't they have like a New York spot too, though?
The Elks Lodge in Queens. I was at every single Elks Lodge show
Is that where it
ECW
was?
ever
I thought it
produced.
was like
Queens Boulevard.
wasn't there another spot?
Hammerstein Ballroom.
Hammerstein Ballroom.
Hammerstein Ballroom. I was at every show in the Hammerstein Ballroom. They only did the last 6 shows at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then they did
but this is
when
when
the ECW and
was on its way
WWE
out.
came back,
Yeah,
right?
the
The one night stand was there.
I was at both of those
Yeah,
front
that was
row.
at
Had
the
the chairs.
Hammerstein.
Yeah. But in the mid 1990s and even in the later 1990s, ECW was in New York. They were in the Elks Lodge, which is an old recontributed church. It's like a retro.
It looks like a converted church.
Two-floor converted church.
Is that where Kurt Angle saw them crucify somebody and was like, "This isn't for me"?
Maybe.
This isn't for me.
Well, Kurt Angle, like the first like wrestling match he ever went to was like an ECW show, I think it was, and I forget who they crucified, but they literally
so
like
Paul
brought out a
Heyman
cross.
invited Kurt Angle to see him, and this is at the point where Vince McMahon gave Kurt Angle straight out of the Olympics when he won the Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck. He gave him an offer.
Damn true.
Gave him a big offer to sign a
Lot
contract.
of money.
And Kurt Angle was like, "I'll sign this contract, but I can never lose."
Jeez.
And Vince is like, "The fuck out of here."
Sorry, pal.
That ain't work for me, brother. Like, get out of here.
They laughed. They were kind of like, "Kurt,
So-
this isn't real life."
Next year, he obviously declines the contract, doesn't go to WWE. Paul Heyman gets a hold of him. Is like, "Hey, we understand you were trying to, get into pro wrestling. Why don't you come out, check our show out, and let us know what you think?" First show he goes to check out, Raven puts Sandman on the ropes, and he ties him to the ropes like Jesus, and he puts like a cross in the back of his head with and he's bleeding, and he's like gushing blood from all different spots, and it was
kind of like offended
It
Kurt.
offended Kurt, and it offended a lot of people. So the next night, Raven came out, and in very like Raven fashion, he says, "If I offended anyone, I apologize." So they had to kind of. This is like taboo when you didn't really have.
Wasn't on TV.
So it wasn't on
every
TV.
night.
You had AOL, and it was like very.
Yeah, taboo.
Low
and
exposure.
It would have been worse
Taboo and
nowadays.
taboo.
That's
They were
for sure.
trying to get.
Nowadays, they would have like
They were trying to get
cancel
exposure.
culture would have got a hold of that. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, he's a Sandman. He's a drunk and a wife beater. What the fuck?
Right.
But it never ECW could have
anyway,
never
fly.
existed.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, so that's the story of Kurt Angle's experience with ECW.
yeah.
We got sidetracked.
Well, it's
Hall of Fame.
all with
this
wrestling
year,
history.
You have Paul Heyman. You have the American Express. Right, Chris? No.
Yeah.
You have the U.S. Express. The U.S. Express, which is Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham, who were the tag team champions.
Tunda.
Mike Rotunda, who is the dad of
Bray Wyatt.
Ray Wyatt. Okay.
Rest in peace.
Wyndham
Wyndham
Rotunda.
IRS was his gimmick in the 90s as well with the $1 Million
Yeah, that was later on when
Money
he,
Incorporated.
when Vince had to make everybody into like some kind of profession.
Yeah, clown.
Garbage man, clown,
Hockey player.
IRS guy. I
Do you think Bray Wyatt deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
think eventually, they have some time for that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's earned his keep. He's done enough new, unique type of things.
Just for the
I
fact
think it's
that
cool
he
to
had-
honor his father this
First?
year, because he
Yeah.
did he pass away yet?
No.
No, he didn't.
He's an agent.
His but the other guy, not Mike Rotunda,
Barry Windham?
Barry Windham passed away. I think.
No.
Didn't he pass away this year or like last year?
Barry Windham was a part of the Four Horsemen, but the U.S. Express, Rotunda and Windham were the WWF tag team
Arn
champions.
Anderson passed away.
No.
Arn Anderson
No,
passed away.
who was it?
Ole Anderson.
Ole Anderson passed away
Ole
recently.
Anderson. Not related to Arn at all.
No.
Just a gimmick.
No.
U.S. Express, Rotunda, and Windham were the tag champs going into WrestleMania 1. 1985, the very first WrestleMania, where they lost the tag titles in that WrestleMania to the Iron Sheik Baby and Nikolai Volkov. So it'll be cool to see the U.S. Express go in. Fun fact, and this is going to show you how crazy I am with 80s wrestling. The U.S. Express were the tag team that originally, they were the superstars that got the Real American theme song for. So in the
Hulk
80s,
Hogan's.
they came out to Real American
Right.
because they were the U.S. Express, and that was their theme song. Hulk Hogan, when he first started out in the WWF, when he came back as Hulk Hogan and he was a face, he came out to Eye of the Tiger. And then when they got, obviously, copyright issues with not getting the Survivor Eye of the Tiger song, they decided to give Hulk the Real American song, and they took it from the U.S. Express. But the U.S. Express, that's a trivia for you guys, were the original superstars who had the Real American theme.
It's like how Kurt Angle's song was originally the Patriots.
Right.
And then even I learned when we were playing WWE 2K because Harley Race came out
That's
to Jerry the King Lawler's song. Was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And that was originally his song.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a couple of other cases of that I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's some.
I also wanted to mention that Virgil passed away.
He did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame because the guy had a lot of money and mental health issues towards the end.
I think he had dementia or something like that. And, now it's like those funny videos of him getting punched in the face or like fucking stepped on, were probably signs of some kind of deterioration. But he was always considered a funny guy. And did you know that he has a master's degree in mathematics?
That's funny.
Yeah, he went away to like get a degree in math.
George Animal Steel was a college professor.
Really? He's in 2K. We were talking about that.
That's funny.
Special guest referee George the Animal Steel.
Who? Another person that got into the Hall of Fame this year, they already announced, is Bull Nakano. She was a wrestler in the late 80s, early 90s. She kind of pioneered like what it was to be a heel woman in women's wrestling in those eras. She wrestled against Alundra Blaze when they brought her into the WWF. They had a couple of matches in SummerSlams and WrestleMania, so they're putting Bull Nakano into the Hall of Fame. And I know you had a topic that you wanted to kind of go to beforehand, but did you want to try to give some list of your own? We can kind of go around of who we think at some point should be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, we kind of did that a few weeks ago. What I want to make this a little more challenging, is if you can only choose one more person, one more wrestler to go into the Hall of Fame, and then after that it gets closed to everybody. So you could only choose one more person, and then after that, everyone else is banished to purgatory.
It's an easy one for me.
Who would it be?
Owen Hart.
It's an interesting choice because he can't go in.
Well, his wife doesn't want him.
His wife refuses to allow it. That's why they made a Hall of Fame in AEW, and he's in that. And I don't know. I feel like
nobody's more deserving of a celebration from his fans for what he contributed and ultimately what he sacrificed for being in the wrestling business than Owen Hart. He gave his life.
Yeah.
Literally. For wrestling.
And I think even apart from that, his he never got to the zenith, but I mean he had some really good matches. Even with Brett, his program, and the potential that was left on the table there, where all the other guys he could have faced, and he would have, I think, gotten to the top, had that tragedy not happened. So, very good choice.
What do you got? Don't say William Regal.
No, I'm not sure right now. I want some. Rob, who do you got?
He's gonna say William Regal.
Yeah, it's William Regal. It's definitely William Regal.
Well, William Regal's going in. There's no doubt that he's going in.
He's gonna go in.
It's tough. I mean, like, number one, I don't know everybody that's in the Hall of Fame.
You can rattle off some names, I'll tell you.
Well, if you say, we'll let you know if they're in there or not.
I mean,
if you say Bruno, he's in there.
Well, I know Bruno. And Andre was the first inductee of the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
George Animal Steel?
He's in there.
No, George Animal Steel was one of the earliest ones put in there. Too.
Yeah.
Bruiser Brody.
Good choice.
He's not in there?
Bruiser Brody is in the
He might be in there because I think...
He is in the Hall of Fame, but he didn't have a formal induction. They put him as like a legendary induction, but he is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah. But he didn't have like his own acceptance speech with a family member, accepting for him. They just kind of said, "Oh yeah," and in the Legacy Hall of Fame, here's blah 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 blah, and Bruiser Brody was on the list.
I just looked it up too, and they apparently WWE allegedly didn't contact Bruiser Brody's family for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they didn't.
That's
according to his wife.
That's why he was just like mentioned, and they didn't really have any celebration or anything.
There was a couple of people like that, like Stan Stasiak last year. I think Sean Stasiak, his son, who was never really anybody.
Stan the man Stasiak.
Yeah, he wanted to like induct his father in. Yep. They didn't invite him.
I mean, they're making the Hall of Fame so segregated now to where they only want like large, big name stars taking up the time frame to where they'll actually get a full induction and have an induction speech.
And then otherwise they give somebody the Warrior Award or something like that. And you get to watch Dana Warrior give the worst speech of the night. She's gone now. Yeah, but geez, those were dreadful watching those.
I mean, if it was like the end of the Hall of Fame, Cody Rhodes,
It's too early for Cody.
Too early.
I know,
yeah.
but
you
if
can
we're
count that.
ending the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? It's like,
Kurt
are we talking about now?
He's in already?
Wow.
Yeah, he's already in. That's what I'm saying.
He
Like
did it
most of the
quick.
people
That's
you
how he
would
came
think,
back
So
to
I'll
WWE.
rattle off some names, big
Was he-
names that are.
even Macho
You know,
Man's
I'll
in
give
there
I'll
now.
give my
Wanna
vote.
you have one? William Regal.
Well, he's in there. You know, I think he's definitely one of my opinion. You know, he deserves to be in there. He's had a whole career.
I'm gonna leave.
I mean, that's an inevitability too. The guy
See?
fucking runs the company now. But no,
He's
I'm
going-
I'm
yeah,
gonna go
he's
with like a
going
left field kind of just a name that popped in my head. Maybe there's other people who deserve to be in there more than him, but
Goldust.
and not only just popped in my head Goldust because he's
Said
Cody's
Cody
brother.
Rhodes.
He said Cody Rhodes and he's Cody's brother, and you know,
Yeah,
I
but your
mean,
question was
Goldust
last
is-
person who can go in and then it's cut off.
I know, but so many deserving people are in it. I mean, I could say Lex Luger, you know, but I'd rather Goldust than Lex Luger in there.
I would too. I would agree with that.
You know, it's tough, you know, because like who Booker T, is he in there?
Yes.
He's in there now.
Twice.
you know,
He's in there twice.
DDP
He's
DDP
in
should
there.
win the
Big
Warrior Award or something like
in
that.
the
People
Solo
are saying,
and in a
And a tag. Harlem Heat. Yeah.
yeah.
The Wyatts would be a good option because then you'd get Brody and
Yeah. That's a good choice too.
you know what I mean.
Then you get
Bray
Eric
Wyatt.
Rowan in there too, though.
Eric Rowan.
Hell says
And then-
Al Snow.
Al Snow.
Al Snow.
So yeah, Al Snow is a name that's out there. There's a couple of names that are out there that are top of mind. Demolition, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Only reason they're not in yet is because they sued Vince McMahon for rights to their likeness when the WWE Network came out and they had matches of Demolition and they didn't get any money for that. So
Bullshit.
there's a huge contingent of 80s wrestlers who sued Vince McMahon, and that
Well, hey, Jesse Ventura got in, and he sued Vince and
The
won.
body.
he did. And that's a testament to
tricep
Vince being
extension.
like,
A prick.
you know,
Well,
choosing business over whatever. But
I
other
just
name-
listened to something today about that because we all love doing our impressions of Jesse the Body. Apparently, so the whole idea I listened to this on Jim Cornette recently. He sued because he did commentary, and wrestlers got like residuals or whatever.
Right, his voice and his likeness. Well, he's on the show.
He was on the show, and
And
that
he
was the
did
thing.
commentary.
But commentators didn't get
Bullshit.
what do you call it? Not residuals. There's another word for it.
Royalties?
Royalties.
Right.
And he sued Vince for it and won. And Vince even actually, again, Jim Cornette said this on a show that I listened to just today. Apparently, after Jesse beat Vince in court, he called up Jesse, and he was like, "That's my money." And Jesse responded to him. He's like, "Well, Vince, the courts determined that it's my money." And apparently, like, Vince respected him a little bit more for, like, actually standing up to him.
Yeah, fuck him.
So, but he got into the Hall of Fame, so, and now Vince is out of the picture. Demolition, that makes sense.
So Demolition, the Dynamite Kid, along with if they want to induct Dynamite by himself or as a part of the British Bulldogs with Davey Boy Smith, who's already in there.
I'm still putting Goldust above all of them so far.
All right, Goldust definitely. William Regal for sure.
His son debuted recently again too on like
Regal?
NXT. Yeah, and his son,
What?
you could tell just looking at him. I think he's going to be a star just because he's got a very distinct British face.
I think he is, but is
Look at
Diamond
his
Dallas
son.
Page in there?
I just
Diamond Dallas Page is there, yes.
He isn't it? Oh, because I
Yes.
saw a campaign today where they were saying he deserves to win the Warrior Award.
The Warrior Award is not a Hall of Fame induction. It's just an award showing
it's
that
like a kind of-
it's like a humanitarian of the year.
I mean, not for nothing. That guy personally saved so many wrestlers' lives.
He
with
did.
The DDP
Yeah, he
yoga
did.
and all that.
That's
stuff.
why they were saying he
Saved
should
Jake
be
the
in there.
Snake.
Scott
Right,
Hall.
Scott Hall.
One,
as
two,
best
three
as he
kid.
could.
I just looked up a list of the top 20 that are not in the Hall of Fame.
So can
Oh,
I try
that's
to
a good
guess
one.
some of that list and tell me if they're on there? Want to play that game?
You
Keep rattling them off.
Yeah, I mean
Do
you
it.
you were
All right,
already
so,
hitting a lot of them
All right,
on the head.
Demolition,
It's already on here.
Dynamite Kid,
I got my new
On here.
vote. I have a new vote.
William Regal,
Not on here.
not on there.
I got
Miss
one.
Elizabeth.
That was what I was going to bring.
That's
I was
what I
gonna-
saw.
I was going to bring
So,
that up and ask.
definitely
how
deserves
Here's
it.
my new vote. Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette's on there, yeah.
He's not in there.
I agree.
But he
I would agree with
definitely deserves to be
And
in
that
there.
induction speech would be fucking glorious.
Oh my god.
Well, but you know what?
Vince
Hey,
will have to be dead before.
even even on Dark Side of the Ring, like he gave such a good
Amazing.
explanation for pro wrestling
him.
that he's
I love
he's
him.
just such a wordsmith. And I don't know if the Midnight Express or the Rock and Roll Express are in there.
Rock and Roll Express are
But Midnight Express
Midnight
isn't.
Express.
Giant
not
Baba.
yet. Giant Baba.
Killer Bees.
It's on the
Killer
list.
Bees, no. Killer Bee, yes. Killer Bee.
Christian.
How about Chris Jericho? How about
Jericho's
The Rock?
at number 2. The
Jericho.
Rock is
Rock's
actually number 2.
How about The Big Show?
Big Show? Yep.
Big Show.
Okay.
Those are good ones.
So yeah, I'm warming up here. Give me.
Surprised The Rock isn't in there.
Look at the AEW Taz.
Number 1 is so funny.
Taz.
Taz not on here, but
I guess The Rock would have to be the last
Raven,
one. if
Paul
it's not.
Heyman.
Heyman's on here.
Sandman,
Brian
Tommy Dreamer,
Pillman.
ECW.
Pillman's not on here.
Pillman's not on there.
No.
Pillman needs to be on there.
Yeah, this definitely isn't the definitive list. That's for
It's
sure.
tough because
Pillman's on. He could
He
be
does
on there.
deserve
his son,
it.
His son can induct
Can
him.
you
He's there.
guess who the number
That'll
one
happen.
person?
Holly.
I didn't say it yet.
Who the
Haven't said
number
it
one
yet?
person who is not in the WWE Hall of
Vince
Fame?
McMahon.
Ding ding ding.
yeah,
How about Shane McMahon?
Shane McMahon is not on
You
here.
know,
very deserving.
very
Guy
deserving.
put his body on
They're
the
gonna
line.
wait until Vince is dead and then put him in.
They
But
have
then
to
everybody's
wait.
gonna
They
feel
have to
bad
wait
'cause
a
he's
Time
while.
time will be kinder, I think. In another 10 years,
you
the
never know.
ADD that people have,
True.
history is overlooks a lot of
They're
this
willing
shit.
to vote for
you know?
Trump, then they'll put him in the Hall of Fame.
Trump
Yeah.
didn't do it. He did. Let's relax. I'm down.
He lost.
Number
he lost in
3.
court.
I don't know who this one is though.
What is it?
Ivan Koloff.
Ivan Koloff,
Okay, Ivan Cole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
deserving. He had a
Jericho's.
whole story. Who was it that he took over
Oh,
for?
and if
What about
Um,
Magnum
yeah.
TA? Is he on there?
Did he go in?
No,
I don't believe so.
not on here.
Magnum TA got injured before he could
He-
really
he
make an
did.
impact.
Rick
but-
Martel.
Rick the Model Martel for sure. This is my next one.
What about Rick Rude? Is he in there?
Rick Rude is in there.
The Crusher.
It's funny. So Rick Rude in the new
Oh, the Crusher's in
2K24
there.
game is wearing the
there now?
tights with the
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior
This is
on it.
old.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then actually
The
when we were
fact
doing the
is he
Royal
has a-
Rumble,
Are you gonna make the
Kangaroo.
tights
Ultimate
for
Warrior
him
came out.
with
No,
what's
that's
his
Alexis
name?
with the wife. Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be funny.
The
Maybe
fa-
Joe can make that.
guys know
Bad
the
News
Fabulous
Brown would be
Kangaroos?
another name that I would have on that list.
Oh my God! What if they
Um,
made
we've been through
Rick
it.
Rude
Here's
with
one.
the cat
China.
pants?
Kamala.
China.
China's in there as DX, as a part of DX, but not
Yeah.
solo. But
Should be solo.
She's not there as solo. I agree.
She's the new,
Sable is not in the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
They
That's
won't do it
Wow.
because who's going to induct her? Brock and talk
Nah,
about
he's
how
not. He's not good at speeches.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
There you go. Is another one.
He's not
Now
going
you're going
in
in
there.
now.
Go in now.
Well, time.
Chris Benoit. should be in the
Time
Hall of Fame.
fucking heals all.
He should be for wrestling. He should be. He's one of the best ever. Sorry.
I mean,
Not
that
there, but
WrestleMania main event where him and
Batista's on
Eddie
here.
both won their matches and they had that moment was one of like the most
I was there live front row.
touching moments, and
WrestleMania.
it won't happen though. It won't happen for the reasons
Great
Paul
wrestler,
Heyman said.
terrible person. It's-
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Ace still had a good name. What about the Big Boss Man?
Big Boss
Big
Man's
Bubba.
in.
Boss man.
He's in there?
Yes, he is.
Actually, I do remember that. I think like not that long
A
ago.
couple of years ago, Big Boss Man
Yeah.
put in. his-
Psycho
Bam
Sid.
Bam's in there too, right?
Psycho Sid is a great name. Psycho Sid would be. Bam Bam is not in there.
Wow.
So both Bam Bam and Psycho Sid would be in my top 10 list. Period.
Yeah,
Lex
Yeah.
Luger. Also
dude.
not in the
Honestly,
Hall
when
of
I
Fame.
first started watching wrestling as a child, like I remember like Shotgun Saturday days, probably like '96 or something
Right.
like that. Psycho Sid scared the shit out of me. His music, like me and my brothers
He
would
had
be
a
like,
reporter,
"Holy
too.
shit!" It was like a serial killer song,
Yeah.
and like he would come out.
It was the Psycho song from the movie from Alfred Hitchcock.
Was it actually straight from it?
A
It
variation.
was like
of it.
it was like a deviation of it. But man, he was like, holy shit, this guy's crazy. When you saw
Tommy
him.
Dreamer. I agree. Tommy Dreamer should be in the Hall of Fame, and it's in Philly. If they're ever going to do it, they should do it this year.
CJ got to fight Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, that was cool. This like last month or two.
Yeah, and he just
I would
he just
definitely
fought
say,
with the FBI.
Sabu should be in the Hall of Fame. Taz should be in the Hall of Fame.
Billy Kidman
No.
for behind the scenes stuff. He was an agent for
Earl
them. I
Hebner.
think he still is. I don't know.
What's Juventud Guerrero? Psychosis.
Yeah,
La Parca.
Parka.
The Parker, Viscerus.
He's in there.
Viscera. Is
I think
Viscera
he's.
in
I
there?
think.
No. Mabel? Viscera?
I'm
I don't
pretty
think- I
sure.
don't think he is.
Maybe not. I mean, his wife tried to sue WWE for his obesity. They tried to say that she tried to say that it was their fault.
why
That
he's
he
not
was
in there.
Yoko's got to be in there, right?
Yoko's in there.
Yoko's in there. Yeah.
Have to be. I didn't know that Sergeant Slaughter came up with Yoko's whole thing.
He did.
That was fun to learn.
Well, do you know why? Because again, he's Samoan. The reason why they made him Japanese was because they already had so many Samoan guys. They had the Wild Samoans.
Is Big John Studd in there?
Yes.
Yeah. Is
I got one.
Hillbilly Jim in there?
Yes, he is, and that was the worst acceptance speech of all time.
It was a good speech. It was just long as hell. It was like
so
35 minutes.
That's
look it up. How long was
yeah, that's hilarious.
I gotta look up how long.
So Rob, you made me think of a name because you said Big John Studd. I'll give you his tag team partner. His tag team partner is not in the Hall of Fame, and he main evented WrestleMania 2. That's King Kong Bundy.
Oh yeah, King Kong. Wow, he's not in there.
No.
Jeez. What about Abdullah the Butcher?
Yes.
Yeah. Asa
The
asked
natural
if
disasters.
No.
They should be in
another
there.
good
John Tenta,
earthquake.
yeah.
Umaga.
Umaga's in there.
Sting is in it, right?
Sting is in there.
Yeah, that's when he came back.
2015, 2016 he came in. Yeah.
How long was Hillbilly
Perez.
Jim's
This
speech?
one says Melina Perez.
Oh, Melina.
Oh, Melina.
No. The funniest has to go to Mr. T. Mr. T had the
I love my mama.
Mr. T loves
Dude,
his mama.
How long did I say his speech was? I said 35 minutes. 35 minutes. Oh, my exaggeration was the reality. It was
felt
a
like
35-minute speech.
How long was Mr. T's speech about his
Was
mama?
it that long?
Probably
was
longer than
pretty
35
long.
minutes. It was terrible.
Really?
Mr. T loves his mama. And they
So,
weren't like telling him
just
to stop.
Changing
either. He just kept
topic,
going.
we're still talking about Hall of Fame here, and this is something that I do leading into WrestleMania. And Vin, if you have Peacock now, I highly suggest watching these 3 Hall of Fame speeches. And to me, these are the 3 greatest Hall of Fame speeches. Actually, I'll put 4 on the list. I'll give you my Mount Rushmore of WWE, and you can segment this. Mount Rushmore of WWE Hall of Fame acceptance speeches. Number 1, the best Hall of Fame speech still to this day.
Scott Steiner.
No, that was a shitty speech. Bobby the Brain Heenan from 2004. Fantastic. Hilarious. Recovered from throat cancer. He was gone from the WWE because he was in WCW. He came back in 2004 when it was in Madison Square Garden. I was there. I attended, and it was hilarious.
Widely considered
ribs
to
a
be
lot of
the
guys.
greatest manager
of all time. Hands down.
by everybody.
Probably the greatest color announcer of all time. I know it's some people like Gorilla and Bobby. Some people.
But
like
whose
JR
side is
and
he
King.
on?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
He
was
had
a
the
mistake.
famous call. Number 2 would be the hoodie that I'm wearing, Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret Hart pours his heart out, and this is no pun intended, but this happens at a point where he just recovered from a full stroke on the left side of his body. So he fully recovered from that, God willing, and then he appeared on WWE television at the Hall of Fame for the first time since the 1997 Montreal Screwjob. So this is almost a
His
decade
return.
later, and this is his first return, was actually at the Hall of Fame, and his speech was legendary. He told so many funny stories about traveling and pranks and ribs that the wrestlers would tell. Like I'll share a couple of quick ones. One of the stories he talks about, he says when Owen finally got his break and he got to join the WWF at the time, they wanted to go out and celebrate. So they took Owen to a strip club in San Antonio. And Owen is a pretty family-driven guy. He doesn't really drink or doesn't want to peruse or anything like that. So they finally convinced him to go to the strip club. So Brett and Owen are sitting at the bar and they're drinking, they're watching the show, and an hour goes by, and at the corner of their eye, Vince McMahon is walking into the strip club.
Shit.
And Vince McMahon, the way Brett words it, he said he had a few soda pops somewhere else. So he's hinting that Vince was already, intoxicated
Lit up.
by the time he came into the strip club. And some of the other wrestlers were already there, like Hulk Hogan's there, Randy Savage, the Legion of Doom.
Damn.
They're all there hanging out.
They're in the
And,
Hall of Fame, right? Legion of Doom.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
I kind of forget.
So some of the boys, like Hulk Hogan, is starting to stir up Vince McMahon in the Legion of Doom. And Hulk says to the Legion of Doom, who are sitting behind me and Rob, he's like, "You guys would never do your finish to Vince, brother." And the next thing you know, Hawk is up on the little table on the pole, and Animal picks up Vince, gets him up, puts him up on his shoulders, and Hawk comes off, and he kind of barely touches Vince with a powder puff clothesline, and then Vince falls back, and they catch him, and they sit him down, and they give him a golf clap. And then Brett's saying that he's sitting next to his partner, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Anvil Neidhart, like a neurotic, is getting really nervous, and he's pulling on his beard, and he looks at Brett and goes, "Heart Foundation would have done it." And then the next thing you know, Hulk is looking at Bret. He's like, well, you guys actually going to do this, brother? So Jim Anvil Neidhart picks up Vince in the bear hug. And the way Bret Hart words it, he goes, yeah, I took Vince's fucking head off with the clothesline in the strip club.
Didn't he take like everybody's finisher that night?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God.
And it was like on a hardwood floor
hardwood
too.
floor.
He
This is
fucking
good.
took all the bumps.
But I mean, these are stories that, you know, come on, these are awesome. You don't
You'll
get
love
to
to
hear
see that.
You don't get to hear this stuff. This is why I love the Hall of Fame, because they you know, indulge you and they go through these stories that you will never hear unless you read books and things like that. Right. And I'll tell you another quick funny story about Owen. And Owen is known as one of the greatest ribbers of all time. It's Owen and Kurt Hennig.
Sure.
But he was loved for it. He was never hated for
he
his
didn't
pranks.
He didn't do like mean shit. Like Kurt Hennig would put shit in your fucking bag, and he would put a fucking
Somebody's shit in
a
King's
combination lock on your fucking suitcase, and you can't open your shit, and you can't change, and you fucking have to go home in your sweaty gear, and the fans still see you like you're in your. He would do all sorts of fucked up shit. There's one time where Kurt Hennig took a guy's fucking. This guy had a fake ear. He took the guy's fake ear off and threw it into one of the other wrestlers' beers. And the wrestler's sipping on the beer, and the ear went in his mouth. And
I heard that story. For some reason.
Who had the fake ear? I mean, I
So,
only know Foley had the.
Arn Anderson had a friend, and this is like in the 80s, one of his friends had a fake ear. And Kurt Hennig, he took it off the ear, and he put it into Arn Anderson's beer.
That's fucking
And next thing you know, Arn Anderson is drinking the beer, and the ear goes right in his. So anyway, the Owen Hart story is right. So they check into a hotel, and they're at the reception, and the receptionist is actually answering a phone call, and on the phone call is actually Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who's up in his room.
Ho!
And he calls down the receptionist. He's just asked the receptionist, "Where's the gym?" And the receptionist goes, "Does anybody know where the gym is?" And everyone's like, "Give me the phone." I'll tell him, give me the phone. And then he gets on the phone, and now Hacksaw thinks that it's the receptionist talking on the phone, but it's Owen. And then Owen is telling Hacksaw, why don't you come down here and find it yourself, you lazy bastard. And then Hacksaw's like, who are you talking to like that, brother? You know who I am? And he's like, well, if you want to do something about it, why don't you come down here? I'll kick your ass.
Oh, my God.
So now Hacksaw's getting dressed. He's getting worked up. He's going to come down. He's going to straighten out this fucking receptionist guy. And then Owen Hart just hands the phone back to him.
Doesn't he just go upstairs or something like that?
And
And he
then
just leaves.
Owen goes, it's okay, don't worry. Just tell him it was me, Jim Powers, who was another wrestler at the time in the 80s. So the next night, obviously, Hacksaw goes down to the receptionist guy, and the receptionist guy's like, no, it wasn't me. It was Jim Powers. And then the next night in the dressing room, Hacksaw Jim Duggan goes up to Jim Powers. He's like, so, I heard that was... And then it was just like a
the
funny,
guy's face is probably like,
fucking-
what the fuck you
But
talking
those
about?
are the
What?
kind of ribs that Owen Hart would do.
Oh, my God.
That's
Well,
funny.
You were
That's
talking about
fucking-
the top speeches, and you were getting to number 3. And if I may interject,
Yeah.
The Undertaker. I mean, his speech last year?
It was good. I'm not putting him in the top 4. It was long, and it was just not.
It was long. It was like a TED Talk. I thought it was really cool. There was a
very good.
lot of lessons, and it was, again, you never really got to hear The Undertaker talk.
My only
That's
thing
the
about,
most any of us have ever heard The Undertaker
true.
talk,
It's true.
not in character, ever. It was like a real treat because you never got to see that. They gave him the whole ring, and they gave him, I don't know how long it was. They didn't cut it short. They gave him as much time as he wanted.
He's one guy that didn't break kayfabe in his entire career. Until
Right.
he
Did not.
retired.
Did
Yeah.
not. So that's a great one. I don't know if it would make my top 4, my Mount Rushmore, but it's definitely top 10 for sure. Just for the sheer fact, like you said, that you get to hear The Undertaker out of character speak as Mark Calloway to his fans.
Tell stories.
Tell stories. It was good. Again, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bret the Hitman Hart. Number 3, and this is another one that'll make you shit and piss your pants, the Iron Sheik.
Oh,
Fucking
I can
wasted
only
out off his gourd.
He's just bombed.
It's fucking great.
I don't know if I'm hearing every, I
You
just
gotta.
think-
It's a short one, so it's short and sweet, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's pure Iron Sheik.
Ooh, Hulk Hogan.
He's like, "There, Hollywood brand Japanese Hulk Hogan. He told me break his leg. Hack poo, that piece of shit, no good." And they're just like, and then he keeps like they play his music and they clap him off, and he comes back and goes, I want to say one more thing, and I want to let you people know. And then they clap him off again, and they give him his music. They walk him off. He comes back, he interrupts Mean Gene. He goes, let me tell you something, Chen Man. I want to let you know. It's pure like Iron Sheik, just ADHD fucking. It's good. Top 3 for sure. And my 4th one is one that I actually got to witness live. I was there in 2013. The Hall of Fame was at Madison Square Garden, and WrestleMania that year was at MetLife Stadium. This is the main event that had Rock Cena 2, Undertaker versus CM Punk. And in the Hall of Fame that year, you had a stacked Hall of Fame. You had Mick Foley, Trish Stratus, Bob Backlund, Booker T, and the headliner that night was Bruno Sammartino.
Wow.
Nice.
And Bruno Sammartino just spoke so eloquently, and he spoke so with so much care and love and compassion. And at the time, Bruno was almost 80 years old at the time, and you would never tell that this is an 80-year-old man up there talking. But he talked about the struggles of being, a World War II baby, and how his mother in Italy, when
They
finally
were Jewish.
No, he's Italian.
He's Italian, but he's Jewish.
No,
Bruno Sammartino. I'm pretty
Sammartino is the
positive.
most Jewish name you ever heard, right?
I'm telling you.
I don't know. You just interrupted my whole flow.
Pretty
He's
sure
not-
that's why they flee. Look, I'll look it up right now, and I'll tell you, because that was part of the story, was that they were like fleeing the Nazis or whatever.
They were fleeing from the Nazis because Italy was pulling out of the war.
Mussolini.
And Mussolini had surrendered. That's why they were fleeing. Anyway, he was talking about how his mother lost a couple of sons during this process because she was living in the mountains, and she would scale down the mountain in the blistering cold to steal bread and potatoes from the Nazis so she can feed her family. And he was talking about how he was a frail, skinny kid his whole life, and then finally when they were able to kind of end the war and he was able to get to America, he started building up his body, and he started becoming a power lifter and a weight trainer. That's where he met Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually inducted him into the Hall of Fame at that day, which was another great speech as well. So the whole thing, Arnold talking about Bruno, how he met him, and then Bruno just telling his story, how he came from near death, and he had, what did he say? Leeches. He had leeches that they had to kind of take out of his, he had such a bad, disease from being in the cold in the mountain. His mother would put leeches on his body to suck out the poisons and out of his system.
Right.
So just crazy shit that you would never hear unless you hear these people talk. But Bruno was before my time. I never got to see him. He was in the 70s, 60s,
Right.
a little bit in the 80s where he was kind of past his time at this point. But nobody sold more sellouts at Madison Square Garden consistently for pro wrestling than Bruno Sammartino. He holds the record.
Shit.
More than Hulk Hogan, more than Stone Cold, more than John
He holds
Cena.
the record for title hold too.
Yeah.
Longest ever.
So just to clarify, because he's was inducted in some Holocaust center or whatever. He wasn't Jewish, but he related with the Jewish people because his family was I guess their village was attacked and burned down by Nazis, and they were all separated. So
Yes.
they were still
anti-war.
Yeah, because the Jews loved
The
Bruno
Nazis
too.
were sending everybody
Yes.
to those camps.
Isn't
Yeah,
that-
they were
he,
killing
was,
everybody.
he was Italian. He speaks Italian. He's fluent in Italian. He's Italian. But yeah, that was if
He used to go to San Gennaro Feast every year. CJ and I used to talk about maybe going one time to go meet him, but
Bruno.
he passed away. We devastated.
Yeah.
He was like a
King
hero.
Those are 4 speeches that are must watch. So if you haven't watched either of those 4 yet,
Honorable mentions,
definitely check
because Pete Jones, which I don't know if that's Yao, and he just changed his username now because he said Yao before, unless he's just picking up on the vernacular.
Could
But
be.
Pete Jones,
No,
42,
yeah.
said, I hate how they cut Ric Flair's speech, which that was another pretty good speech.
Flair's was very good.
It was
Flair's
funny,
was
though,
very
because it was Triple H had to,
Yeah.
you see him in the background, we got,
sweating.
because he kept
Yeah.
going and going and going and going. You know, Ric Flair.
He told
he's-
Let him go.
Vince told Triple H, "You have to go get him."
He's
get
like,
him.
you have to stop him. And then Triple H comes out and just whispers in his ear. And then he still keeps going. And Triple H has to come out again. And then they played his music or whatever. And yeah, some people found that disrespectful. But
Let him go. I don't understand why are we on the.
I'm trying to remember some other great speeches because, it's they all blend together. Shawn Michaels.
It was all right.
Yeah, his was all right.
A cool one. It was short, sweet, probably less than 5 minutes. Was Scott Hall.
Yeah.
And Rob, you want to do the line from the Hall of Fame for Scott Hall?
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Put it on a T-shirt. Boom. Classic Razor. Amazing.
It's always entertaining, you know, and it's like, and it's before WrestleMania too,
Yeah.
so like you really
It just
get
adds to the whole ambiance and whole prestige of WrestleMania, and it just makes it memorable. You know, the whole weekend is memorable.
Now they're hosting what is it, like a con? It's like WWE World. So
Well,
it's
they used
Speaking
to
of
call it
cons,
Access,
I
but
should mention, in fact, I'm going to be announcing this on social media
And it's a
probably
wrestling con.
tomorrow. I'm going to be working a big event in New York on March 16th at the Suffolk Credit Union Arena at Suffolk County Community College. What do we say?
which campus?
Mandy
Brentwood?
Sack's going to be there. Lana's going to be there.
Stacy Keibler,
Stacy Keebler's going to be there. Tori Wilson's
Big
going to be
Show.
and the
there.
Big Show.
Big Show's going to be there.
That's right.
It's going to be I think MJF is going to be there as well.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, there's going to be a few good ones.
He's out right now.
And they're also going to have yours truly. Real life Peter Griffin will be appearing at a big event in New York.
you got to take a picture with Stacy.
Oh, God. I have to get Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson, I was on my wall as a kid.
I had Stacy on my wall.
I didn't have a whole lot of posters.
Actually, I should say I had her ass on my wall.
Damn.
I mean,
There's a lot of ass
she
there
was
back
showing
then,
it.
man. There's a
That
lot of
was,
ass back then.
that was the best ass.
What?
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 Well, where do we go from here? Who stays? Who goes?
Go ahead.
Yeah?
We can do it. Wrap it up with
All
that.
right. So,
Close it out with that.
well, and we got also we
Well,
should
we have a
mention
couple other things.
maybe before the who stays, who goes. Do you guys want to talk about the Sergeant Slaughter bio?
Sure.
I didn't get to see it yet.
Let's wait till Rob watches
I
it.
definitely
Rob
wanna-
is going
I
to be the
definitely
one
wanna
to
watch
best
it.
talk.
I didn't
talk
see
to.
it
Knows
either.
it doesn't. He doesn't need to watch it.
There's
Rob
little-
already knows.
There's little
Is
fun. There's little facts in there that he'll be shocked about.
I'm sure.
No shit.
Personal stuff between his wife and himself, things
gotcha.
like that.
Gotcha.
He knows most of the stories. He knows 90%, but there's little things that was cool about that. And I'm like, oh shit, even I didn't know that, and I know a lot.
Okay.
And I didn't even know that.
I know everything because of you guys. So I was
Yeah.
watching it. And
If you watch this show, you'll find out. Real
Yeah,
quick.
you'll really
'Cause
find
very
out.
few things we're experts in. 80s, 90s pro wrestling. We're good.
We'd love to try to get him on the show
Sergeant
at some
Slaughter.
point. That'd be cool.
You know, he
would
was.
love
I
for
had
you
a
to-
dream with Sergeant Slaughter last night, and I think it was because I planned on watching a documentary and I got the migraine. But it was like Sergeant Slaughter. And I got to ask him anything, and I literally was like, "What do I ask Sergeant Slaughter?" And I was like, "What do you do in your free time?" And he was just like shrugged his
The
shoulders.
best thing about the Sarge documentary, and I'll wait for Rob to watch it,
wanna
it
see that,
really
man.
puts you back into like the early 1980s, 1980, 1981,
Yeah.
where Sarge was the Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan. He was this larger than life, easily recognizable,
Drove around
could
in a
not go
camouflage
anywhere.
car.
Camouflage car, camouflage limo.
Yeah, because I don't
big
know this. So he
dude,
was there
right-
before Hogan. He was like,
yeah.
what year did he debut in WWE, and when did Hogan show up?
Well, Hogan was there in the 70s, but he was there as Terry the Hulk Boulder, and he was a heel.
Right.
And then he
Blue tights or whatever.
He wore multiple costumes. He wore a singlet at some point. Classy Freddie Blassie was his manager. And then Hulk wound up, doing the whole, circuits where he would go to Minneapolis. He would go to AWA. He would go to all these different
Was it the Grand Wizard that was with
promotions.
Sarge?
Yeah. Well, that's not when he was with Sarge. Sarge didn't have a manager. This is when he was like...
Grand Wizard.
Sarge
Yeah.
had a couple other personas before Sergeant Slaughter.
The Grand Wizard of Wrestling? You never heard of
Yeah.
him?
In the Hall of
Oh.
Fame.
He's one of the old school.
Isn't that like
If you look it up, you might recognize
He
this
comes
one.
even before like Mouth to the South Jimmy Hart.
way before
like
him.
he was like classy Freddie Blassie's
Right.
like league of guys.
But yeah, Sarge was around 81, 82. He wrestled with Pat Patterson, Iron Sheik, guys like this. And Sarge was originally like a heel. So he got, there was a movie that Sarge watched. It was, and the character in the movie, his name was Sergeant Slaughter. And that's where he took the name from, and he kind of made it into his own. And he went to an old Army Navy store. He bought the hat and the stick. And
Which
the
is ironic
swagger
because that's
stick
exactly what I did to
and the
dress as
whistle,
him.
and he got some camouflage, and he just looked like a military instructor.
Yeah.
So at the time, they moved him in as a heel because it's easy to hate someone who's abrasive and controlling and demanding. And,
I'm Gardner Sergeant Emery, whatever the fuck his name is,
Right,
like Full
right.
Metal Jacket
Yeah.
kind
Damn
of.
it, Gomer, pal.
Yeah.
Private
I didn't know they
pal.
stacked shit that high.
Right. Yeah, that's
Do
definitely.
you suck dicks? Are you a Peter Puffer? Bullshit! I bet you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose. How tall are you, Private 5'9"? Hell, I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
Fun fact about that movie: Arlie Emery was only brought in to be an advisor on how to be a drill sergeant in the movie, and they liked him so much, he just hired him to be the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what
Do that.
launched his whole Hollywood
But
career.
what propelled?
You are the lowest fucking form of human being. I had to say it before.
What really, in the documentary, and I really want Rob to watch it, and you need to watch it. Fuck Final Fantasy by next week. That's your homework. What really propelled Sergeant Slaughter to become a G.I. Joe is when they finally turned him into a babyface. And the reason they turned him into a babyface because the Iron Sheik had come into the territory, and he was just like this most hated villain. Like the fans just despised him because he came out. He would spit on the flag. He would wave the Iranian flag, and he was foreigner. And that was if you wanted to be a heel in the '80s, just say you hate America and you're a heel.
That's it.
And then Sarge just like bumped into him and looked at him, and one day they're like, okay, who needs to make the save here? And Sergeant Slaughter came out and he turned babyface. And from that moment on, Sergeant Slaughter was like the biggest. Yeah.
It's like, say what you want about him, but he loves this country.
Don't talk about America, puke.
No.
Disease.
You know what I want to ask him, and this I think came up like 2 years ago.
You can't do Sarge without spitting on the mic. That's
yeah. Well, that's why they get the windshield wipers. I want to ask him. Was it called the Cobra Clutch before?
It was
before G.I. Joe.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, he says it in the documentary.
He says where the name came from. Because I
says-
always theorized that the
says-
Cobra Clutch name came from G.I. Joe because the
sorry.
Cobra was the enemies.
I don't. Maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe he didn't say it in the documentary. He may have said it in the YouTube video that him and his daughter did as a reaction video, and they were talking about things that didn't make it, or that might have been squeezed in there. But it was before. He'd say, "My move was the Cobra Clutch, and then I ended up in G.I. Joe." Swear to God.
Oh.
I swear that's like.
I want clarification though,
We're
because
gonna have to ask the
that was my
sergeant,
theory.
We
Was
gotta
it based
clarify
off
and
of
make
Cobra?
sure-
That's good.
Clarify. Make sure Bruno San Martino's not Jewish. Just go ahead and clarify that for me.
You could be Italian and Jewish.
Get the fuck out of here.
They're mostly
again.
Roman
All right,
Catholic,
let's
but
not go
Get the
there.
fuck out of here.
there's Italian Jews. What are you
What
talking
religion
about?
do you follow?
We don't need to go there.
Me? I was raised fucking
No,
Episcopalian.
not you. If you're Italian and Jewish,
You don't
what-
just stop being
you don't
Italian.
just stop being Jewish.
Italian's a national.
For 50,000 years from Moses to Sandy Koufax.
No, I remember that being the Nazis. It was, my family was
It's in Italy. There's Nazis.
Yeah, well, that's it. Mussolini-
Axis
well, they were
powers-
on the side of the Nazis.
Not
Until
after
they
the,
stopped,
Not
you know,
after
'cause
they.
Not after we
They
killed
literally
him.
after
killed
they
Mussolini
killed
and were
Mussolini
like, no, we
streets.
ain't doing this.
Like
No.
Mussolini.
Yeah, we
and
definitely-
Kennedy.
No, that's why I got because he talked about the Nazis and and he apparently
Nazis. I hate these guys.
he said his career was largely inspired by
We're
his
still
Jewish
getting
best
people
friend.
trickling in here. Like Chad Thomas
Nice.
is in here. He's like, "What's up, boys?"
I think we're gonna wrap the
Not wrapping up.
the
We got
rest.
more
No,
stuff.
not the episode, but the wrestling con.
Well,
We got
wait,
one
we
more
did
left.
have a Who
We
Stays
had
Who
a couple
Goes.
things afterwards.
help.
We had a Who Stays Who Goes. He has Final Fantasy after.
No, not Final Fantasy.
We had some play.
Help!
Oh.
Well, you guys wanted to
Did
say
we want to
that
do a
the-
Who Stays Who
Let's
Goes?
do it. We'll do it quick.
What are we doing? Who stays? Who goes?
So, since we're in the vein of talking about Hall of Fame, we wanted to do a Who Stays, Who Goes of the Hall of Fame. Now, the idea surrounding this is we're going to select 3 wrestlers who are already in the Hall of Fame. They're in there. And you're going to pick one to take out of the Hall of Fame.
No
Out of the
offense,
3.
to whoever
This is just
we
a
kicked
game
out.
that we
Just a
play every
game.
now and again on the show. It creates controversy. It creates banter. It creates different opinions, and everybody gets pissed off at each other,
Help!
and it's fun. So you said you didn't want to pick the biggest names. You didn't want to pick Hogan and Austin. Obviously, it's going to be tough.
When they went too obvious.
Too obvious. Tough to pick between them. So I'm going to go ahead and pick 3 names.
Well, Martin chose one if you wanted to
Did
do
Martin
it.
choose one? What did Martin choose? Undertaker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
Who's going to want to take him out, though?
All right. All right.
Well, Martin wants to take him out, apparently, but
Brock
I don't-
Lesnar
Is he
did.
taking Undertaker out, or does he want Undertaker as
he
part
said
of
dead
the...
gone. I'm assuming that means he's gone. He's out.
Martin doesn't like Undertaker.
So, I mean, I don't, he could
Oh.
put him.
Damn.
Who are your guys?
Shawn Michaels.
That's not fair. They're all going to choose Shawn Michaels. That's not gonna, that's
Oh.
No, you're all going to choose Shawn Michaels.
Why do you have
Michaels
such
is
a...
out.
Automatically,
Why didn't he even finish the
because they
title?
don't. Rob hates Shawn Michaels.
No, he doesn't.
Rob,
hate Shawn
Rob
Michaels.
never. You have literally said I never gave a single shit about
I'm
him.
fucking with you.
Rob
I don't give a
doesn't
shit
like
about
Shawn
him.
Michaels.
I'm
I don't
fucking with
hate
you.
him.
It's not
So
Shawn
it'd
Michaels.
be too easy.
I'm fucking with you. I wanted to get you riled up. It didn't
See,
work.
he just jumps on me immediately.
No,
Like,
Rob has already
I
cast
said I
out
hate
Sean.
Shawn Michaels.
Yes,
I
you
just
did.
said I don't like him.
You literally said you hated him. He was the sexy boy and you hated him. I can find it. I will dig for it out of spite.
He's also
Out of
not your
spite.
boy toy. Just to be
not.
clear. Yeah,
It's not.
but he's just a sexy boy. Anyway.
Oh,
You know what my favorite Shawn Michaels meme is when he's like got the crying thing, and then it's the McDonald's sin. It says, "Sorry, we're all out of boys' toys."
oh my God.
Shawn Michaels crying face. It's fucking classic meme.
Now the whole thing.
All right, so three choices, and I'm gonna keep this simple and sweet. Macho Man Randy Savage because he's sitting behind Sweet. The Legion of Doom because they're sitting behind me and Rob. And then the last one, to make it tough on all of you, Kurt Angle.
I was thinking that name in the mix.
Okay. So one has to get eliminated, and they are no longer in the Hall of Fame. Vin, do you want us to go to you first, or you need time to
I'll go first, and then I'll probably change my answer by the time.
No,
you guys go.
no. So make sure that this is it.
Help.
No, I got
no
everybody
changes.
Final
one.
answer.
I kind of already concocted
tribe
an
has
answer
spoken.
based on what you said because you're like, oh, they're behind you.
Okay.
Kurt Angle's out.
Oh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Kurt Angle's out.
Hands down.
Whoa.
Sorry. Macho Man. Macho Man's more iconic than Kurt Angle. The voice, the persona,
Okay.
jumping off
Olympic
the top, the
gold
move.
medalist.
Not in the WWE. In real life, he's yes. Right.
See.
But how's that apply to what he's done in the WWE?
Because it's not possible. I'll
And the only and I know I feel like you guys are gonna pick, but I think because they're the tag team and they're the most iconic tag team, that would be how do you pull them out? It's tough to just get rid of them. Say both of them are gone just for Kurt Angle. No, I don't think Kurt Angle has the heat.
Just shaking
I mean,
his
actually,
head.
no. You know what? I lied.
Shaking his head.
When I watched the Kurt Angle stuff, I was reminded how much he was hated, the heat that he took. But and he was such like a pure baby face, but he was hated.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the traditional.
he was
baby
both.
face.
He was able to be beloved by the fans and
You suck.
funny,
You suck.
and he was also hated at times.
But again, going back, I think that these would stay, and he could go.
Okay. All right.
Can I go?
Absolutely.
You're fucking crazy. It's got to be.
It's your boy, man. Where you at?
Kurt Angle. I mean, the thing, Kurt Angle.
Kurt
can't.
Angle more.
There will
iconic.
never be anybody that can be Kurt Angle because there's never going to be somebody who won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck and then became a pro wrestler after the fact. They're trying to do it with Gable Steveson, and
Not only did he become a pro, he became one of the best of all
became
time.
one of the best. He took to it so quickly,
Mhm.
and he could wrestle in the ring. He could wrestle. The Legion of Doom were jacked up guys who hurt people in the beginning.
Isn't that the point?
Is
of
my
wrestling?
understanding. Well, if
You're
it's
taking
real
out the
wrestling.
Legion of Doom? Is that where you're going
I'm
with
weighing
this?
them or Macho Man because I have reasons.
Macho Man!
I love Macho, but it was before my time. I didn't get to really appreciate him as much. Very iconic. It's.
Come on, yeah.
But the Road Warriors, you got to understand, they
Can you
call
do a
it.
Kurt Angle impression?
They call it. It's true. It's true.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yes.
Cream of the
At
crop,
all.
yeah.
Kurt Angle. Everybody. The you suck chance. All right. The milk. Kurt Angle very much had personality. The whole thing with milk.
You're gonna go with the milk over the cream?
Austin, yeah. He never took. That was one promo. Kurt Angle drank milk all the time. It was part of the character.
better than you are.
Power too sweet to be sour. Funky like a monkey, space is the place.
Those are
sky is
promos.
the limit. Do what they
But Kurt Angle was a better wrestler than Macho Man.
Okay.
And a
can't
much
argue
better
that.
wresler than
Can't
both
argue
of the
that.
guys from the
I
Legion
can
of
say
Doom.
Kurt Angle's a better wrestler
But what
than
I want to
anybody.
say, you have to understand, they called it the Road Warriors pop because they said the
You're
Road
taking
Warriors
out my-
pop. The Road Warriors pop. They called it the Road Warriors pop. They're the only wrestler or wrestlers in this case that were able to get a pop from the crowd as loud as Hulk Hogan. They literally called it the Road Warriors pop whenever anybody, like, if they got close to that. They're like, it's not Road Warriors pop, though. They were beloved. They had that unique personality. They had the unique gear.
Recognizable.
Fucking their special move the fucking
Doomsday
the Doomsday
device.
where he puts him on the shoulder and then the other one fucking clotheslines him off.
How many of you have done that in a swimming pool to somebody?
Oh yeah, you know.
Ooh yeah. Power bombs.
You know, but then Macho Man, you know, he's a Macho Man. It's definitely the uniqueness.
No one's like the Macho Man.
Definitely unique. You know, if he was removed, I gotta remove Animal and Hawk.
Ooh.
What?
Because
Wow.
Kurt Angle is better than all of them. Kurt Angle is better than a Macho Man. Kurt Angle is a better wrestler than any of them. He was funnier. Macho Man was inadvertently funny because you're like, this guy's fucking crazy, and that's kind of funny. Kurt Angle was comedy gold. He was able to play the nerd.
It depends on your humor, because now as an adult, you know, you go back, and I would rather watch old Macho Man promos than old Kurt Angle promos. But I'll wait till my turn. I'll let you finish.
Kurt Angle. Look, I'm telling you, and I said this when I named him #1 on the greatest of all time on my list of top 10.
Yeah.
When you're watching the Attitude Era, if you go back and actually watch it all, like me and my girlfriend have been doing, and not just the fucking A&E documentaries, you watch all of it weekly. That's a little You watch Monday Night Raw and you watch SmackDown.
I gotta read about it.
You do. You do, just like anything else. Documentaries are summary shows.
Really
go back.
I can't compete with the.
He said, "Fuck your pick."
Just go back and watch. Because it hurts me because relax. We're acting like I fucking drew blood here. I'm just saying you have to draw.
I know nothing. The point is I know nothing.
No,
and you're
my
gonna
point
discredit
is
my fucking vote because you love Kurt Angle.
If you go back and regularly watch everything that happened, you would see that Kurt Angle was the star of the show alongside Austin and The Rock. Alongside Austin and The Rock.
He said no.
From 1 year from his debut. Go back and rewatch it, dude. I'm watching all of it. Austin and Kurt. After 9/11 happened, and Kurt Angle won the fucking championship for America, it was one of the greatest moments in wrestling TV.
He's there.
And what was great about it, Austin sucked as a heel. Everybody hated Austin as a heel. But the only thing that made Austin good as a heel was that Kurt Angle and him flipped, and suddenly Kurt Angle was the good guy. And that dynamic that they created, the comedy that they created, Kurt with the cowboy hat and Austin with the fucking guitar, all of that shit.
I don't care.
I'm telling you, the fucking milk truck where fucking he sprayed
gold.
Kurt Angle is one of the funniest. He's the best. On my list, I've already voted him #1 when we did that episode.
Okay.
So it can't be him. Macho Man's the Macho Man. Come on. The Legion of Doom, iconic. You know, they helped build tag team wrestling, but both guys on their own couldn't really stand. It's an entity, and that's, I don't know why I'm kind of counting it against them. But that's not to discount, you know, their contributions. Like I said, the Road Warriors.
Final answer is Road Warriors.
Final answer is Road Warriors. Because if we're playing fucking WWE, nobody's playing as the Road Warriors.
What?
If a tag team.
You have a tag team.
I haven't ever seen you guys do it, so fucking
Oh my god.
get the fuck out of here.
Wait till Rob gets.
I probably have, alongside Vader or something. Rob, who's your vote?
Get the fuck out of here. You know my answer.
Yeah, I know your
You don't
answer.
even have to talk to me. You know my
Because
answer.
you didn't watch then.
You know what my answer is.
Yeah,
What's
but
my answer?
were you watching?
What's my
then?
answer?
Kurt Angle is your answer.
Exactly.
Of course.
He's out.
Exactly. You don't even have to talk
I feel like
about
Rob is getting back at you for Vin. And Vin's just sitting there letting Rob.
Well, Rob's 80s. Of course, he's, you know.
It's Macho fucking Man Randy Savage. Do I have a fucking pillow of Kurt Angle on these couches?
never
or do
would.
I have
Ever.
3 of the fucking 4 people
How much
that
did
we
you
mentioned?
spend on these pillows?
Yeah.
I spent it's about fucking $450, $500 on these things.
Autographed.
Autographed.
And we were supposed to see Kurt Angle last week, but it ended up they canceled. And
I met Kurt Angle.
I was gonna have him sign my belt.
See, and Kurt Angle let you down because he canceled, and we were supposed to meet
Well, I
him.
could say the Road Warriors let me down because they fucking died before I could ever get their autograph.
I got to meet Animal.
Well, you did.
I got to meet Animal. So
Kurt's a
no.
better wrestler than both
Kurt's
of them.
done. And I'm not saying Kurt's not a good wrestler. I'm not saying I don't like Kurt Angle. But if I had to choose between him, Macho Man, and the Road Warriors, Kurt Angle's getting kicked to the fucking curb. Kurt Angle's not in my top 20 wrestlers.
What? Back up. Not in the top 20.
He didn't watch. He
I can
doesn't
think
care.
of 20 wrestlers that
Of
I'll put on
course
a
you
list
think
before
that
I
way.
wanna hear
You never,
name
just
20
like him.
wrestlers.
It wasn't a jab just at him.
No.
You didn't watch it.
fucking
You
Attitude
didn't
Era.
regularly
I
watch
watched
it.
Kurt Angle.
Right
I was there.
now, right now.
I was there for the
No.
milk truck, you fucking
Right
idiot.
now, 20 wrestlers. Give me,
I'm not talking about people that are better wrestlers
No,
than
20
him.
pro
People
wrestlers.
I like more than him.
give me 20.
I got to come up with 20 people
20.
on the
Hurry up.
spot.
Go on now.
Hulk
No,
Hogan,
we're not doing
Macho Man Randy Savage,
Andre,
Andre the Giant,
Bruno,
Bruno Sammartino,
Bret Hart.
The Undertaker, even fucking
Sarge.
Sergeant Slaughter,
Bret Hart.
the Road Warriors. So we'll add the both of them. Let's see.
Stone Cold.
Of course, Stone Cold.
Rock.
Did I say The Rock?
Chris
That's
Jericho.
10. Not even Chris Jericho.
That's the same thing. He's in the same
You
category.
got 10.
for
Give me
Rock.
another 10. Now you're. This is where it gets tough.
I know, and I'm trying to think of names
guys
off
are
the top of
naming-
my head. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Macho Man.
You're putting Bam Bam before Kurt Angle,
People I like more.
Say William Regal.
but deserving of the Hall of Fame.
I'm not saying about certain.
Well, that's where this all stems
from. The top
Somebody
20
gets
of wrestlers
removed-
that I like. I can
Remove
think
Bam
of
Bam.
more
If you're
people
putting
that
Bam
I
Bam
like
over
more.
Kurt, then this is of
Well,
course.
We're not even ranking them. We're
course.
talking about who gets removed from the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I'm saying,
And you're
going to
remove
from the Hall
the
of Fame.
tag team, the best
How are
tag
you
team.
removing
There's
the
plenty of
greatest
tag
tag team
teams.
of all time?
Who?
The
Like
Dudley
Powers?
Boys.
The Dudley Boys
the
are
Hart
not a bigger
Foundation.
tag team than the Road
No,
Warriors.
they're the
I'm just-
second
yeah,
biggest
who-
tag team.
Second biggest is not the
And
biggest.
The
it's-
Hardy
and it's a-
Boys,
it's
the
a gap.
Dudley
The
Boys,
Hardy Boys could have
Eddie
hold a fucking
Christian,
candle.
the Hart Foundation, the Midnight Express,
The gap
the
between
None of
American
them.
Express, the
None of
US
them
Express,
What's
get
the
the
gap?
pop
What is the
that
gap
the
between
fucking
them?
Road Warriors get.
D-Generation X.
If you
That's
put
not a
them
tag
up
team, though.
against every other tag team
group.
that ever
But
existed,
that
the
was
Road
at a point in time, and then you look at the end of their career, not at all. They petered
No, they were
out.
starting to come
they
back.
petered out.
They were
No, they
starting to-
weren't.
he
They
was-
added
he was fixing
Heidenreich.
his life. He
Heidenreich
went
raped
back-
Michael
he
Cole.
went to Japan and did fantastic, and he was supposed to come back
his
and
own.
fucking died.
Yeah,
Talking about Hawk.
Yes.
but that's what I'm saying. But at the end of it
He
all,
was turning around.
a
We
large
coulda had
part of
a
their
whole
career
new-
was bad.
We
Kurt
could have had a
Angle
whole new
was
wave
addicted
of,
to
of
Percocet and fucking barely hanging on by a thread, dude. You can't compare.
And he was
like,
still
personal
putting
life.
on 5-star
You can't-
matches.
You can't just judge people by.
So we're
their
saying because
failures.
he had an addiction, he's out. How is that fair?
No, you're judging Hawk
every
and Animal
single
over
one
there.
of them had a fucking
I'm
addiction.
saying their careers
Kurt
petered
Angle
If
had
out.
an
they
addiction.
wrestled in the 80s
Kurt
and
Angle had a
90s, they
terrible
had an
addiction.
addiction.
Multiple
I'm not
of
saying
them.
he didn't, but I don't see the relevance in bringing that up. I'm not even
You're
mentioning.
the one that brought up.
I didn't
fucking
say it
drugs.
was because of Hulk's alcoholism.
This is-
it
this
was.
is causing blood.
I never even said that.
You were
I just
saying
said
that
their
he
career
was going,
petered out.
Yeah, it petered out because he was on
No,
drugs.
it petered out. Well, of course, but I didn't want to mention that. I
But
didn't
you're
say because
talking-
he was an alcoholic.
You're talking like 99, 2000. These guys are like.
It was before
40.
then.
What?
You look at what happened.
Well, he
the
was
last time
fucking
he was shown on
7.
TV,
What
he
about
fell
what-
off the Titantron because he was drunk.
That was
because they made a
but
horrible
that's-
storyline.
What about like when he came out at WrestleMania 14 and they had LOD 2000 with Sonny and they revitalized?
Well,
their
wait,
look?
wasn't that you took? Hold on, was that the infamous one where he was
No.
high out of his mind?
Iron
No.
Sheik's another one to go on that list before him.
No, that's 90.
There was one Royal
98.
Rumble where he was like totally out of
No,
it.
that's
Nine more
WrestleMania,
people.
not Royal Rumble. But there was a
Well,
Royal
that's what I
Rumble
meant to
where
say.
he
There was one WrestleMania that he totally fucked it up. I'm trying to remember.
Roddy Piper's another one. That's 8 more. That's
Yeah, Roddy
left.
Piper, absolutely.
See again, this devolves into an attack on Kurt Angle when it's
Well,
just like
Pete, as
who
Yao
gets
said,
And
he
I've
didn't-
had,
already
I didn't-
said
I
that I
didn't
don't
go now. I
dislike
used to-
him.
who gets
Kurt-
removed
Kurt
from
Kurt
the
was
Hall
an
of
addict,
Fame.
but never had a bad match because of it. That's
said-
what Yao
I
said.
never
Yeah,
get to go.
but
That's okay.
He had to stop wrestling because he was in such a bad place.
Because his neck was broken fucking 3 times.
Again, it's
by
just-
Brock
that
Lesnar
was
or
just
somebody
the
else.
Circumstances,
And he
again.
still wrestled through it with a fucking broken freaking neck.
Help.
can't argue.
Name anybody that did that. They didn't fucking wrestle with broken
Stone Cold?
necks.
Cody Rhodes.
Well, yeah, there were others. I'm just saying. I'm saying on our list here, Road Warrior and Hawk didn't wrestle. I'm talking about in our list of these 3 guys, Macho Man and the
Cody
Road
Rhodes would be
Warriors.
on your list,
The
too.
only one that
Cody
wrestled with a
Rhodes.
broken freaking neck.
That's 7
right.
people now.
Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero. That's 6.
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
So you okay?
Yeah,
so
even
Kurt
Owen
Angle.
Hart. You
Just
know?
can't see removing
Joe,
that's
Macho
4
Man
people
or the
left
Road
now.
Warriors.
What are you going with,
So
Joe?
this sucks. And I wasn't anticipating that we would be able to. It would have to go down to this, but now we're going to have to defer to the chat. I'll just give you a where my thought process is. It will never be Macho Man Randy Savage. And it's unfortunate that Randy Savage had to go into the Hall of Fame after his untimely death, and he was inducted into
deserved to get
Lanny
away with
Poffo.
Yeah.
Lanny Poffo did a great job with his acceptance speech. Lanny Poffo was a sweetheart of a human being. We lost him too soon as well. But at least he was able up there to kind of celebrate Macho Man with the fans who were chanting, Randy Savage, Randy Savage. So, till this day, Macho Man is in my Mount Rushmore of my favorite wrestlers of all time. That'll never change. He's in the top 4.
Cemented.
And you'll never be able to replace Macho Man. As an adult, I enjoy Macho Man now far more than I did when I was a kid. Because, yes, he was colorful. Yes, he was loud. But he's just it's so much better now that you can see it as an adult and you realize with the drugs and the effects of things and how he still was able to kind of keep that character and keep that voice going on wherever he was.
And the beat goes
Well, what drugs was he on?
Well, fuck knows, cocaine, speed,
I mean,
steroids.
he seems like he was on coke, but I never knew if he actually did
Everybody
it.
was on coke. Did you ever see the Mega Powers promo? They're both on coke. They practically have powder sticking out of their noses.
Sweating profusely.
You got lust in your eyes for Elizabeth.
So there was a whole nother universe out there. It almost blew my 24-inch
There's
Python,
just nobody that can perform a promo like that. There's never been a character, even in his era, he stood out over Hulk Hogan. You got to consider that Macho Man is the first wrestler since Hulk Hogan spurred onto the scene as this huge pop culture icon. Macho Man is the first wrestler that Vince McMahon's like, oh yeah, he can take over. He can win. He can take the big belt, and he can be Hulk Hogan for a little while and Hulk break. He was the first person that was big enough to stand next to Hulk Hogan and not feel like he was a number 2. Where you had Rock Austin for a while, Shawn and Brett, and the original Shawn Brett Rock Austin rivalry was Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. That was your 80s. These are the top dogs.
That
These
preceded
are
the
the
Warrior?
Names.
Or was that?
Preceded the Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Warrior was a
I don't know,
couple
it's
years
before
later.
my time.
Yeah, so Macho Man in my top 4. He'll never get removed. This is unfortunate.
Can I ask something, though, about Macho?
Yeah.
Because we haven't even addressed this. Macho Man in WCW.
Great.
You enjoyed it.
Macho Man WCW was awesome because not only did it re-spark and reinvigorate his wrestling career, because at the time in 93 and 94, when he was still in the WWF, Vince McMahon pulled him off of a full-time in-ring competitor and he put him on commentating. And Macho did a pretty good job. He was entertaining because of the voice and his personality.
JR did not like working with him. He
didn't
said
like
he was
working.
very controlling and
Well,
like paranoid and stuff like that.
That's Macho.
but-
Macho is very meticulous. He's
Just ask Miss
very
Elizabeth.
organized. If you ever wrestled Macho Man, he would have like a PDF file today of like 40 pages.
Ricky the Dragon
of
Steamboat,
breaking
right?
down like
Yep.
every
Really?
single
Yeah.
move, every single thing. It had to be
Methodical.
Yeah.
Gotta be like this,
Ricky the
brother.
Dragon
Yeah.
Steamboat was
And
like
that's
he
why
wanted to
that's
keep
why
going
Andre
over for
hated
hours.
him, and Andre would just destroy him in the ring.
Well, Andre hated Macho because Macho would douse his body in baby oil.
No baby oil, get out!
And then Andre would get covered in baby oil and get really fucking pissed. And he would stand on Randy Savage's hair. What you're not? He's fucking 500 pounds.
He didn't like how he treated Elizabeth
Oh,
either.
Elizabeth, yeah, in the locker room, yeah, you don't leave her.
You're not gonna lock her in the closet.
So you were a fan of him in WCW because I was going to ask. I mean, I
He
feel
had
like it's overlooked.
He had match of the year with DDP. He had amazing matches with DDP. He's one of the reasons Hulk Hogan was able to be such a great heel as Hollywood Hogan because they revitalized their feud early on in 96 when the NWO first started, where Macho was not in the NWO yet. And then Macho later in the WCW era when he came back as, "What up, Mach?" And he came out with Gorgeous George, and he came out with the whole Macho Madness, like entourage after Elizabeth and he had separated. He got really jacked, and he got in really good shape.
Be a man, Hulk.
He had a different look where he put his hair in a ponytail. And he became like a new, reinvented
black
himself.
and white.
Macho Man was one of the characters that, along with the test of time, changed his look to cover the times, like Undertaker did, and so many characters did. But the Macho Man, if
Blacked
you
it
look at,
out.
he constantly evolved, and he put so much energy and so much, I guess, funds into his look, into his outfits, because he wanted you to look like you're watching something you can't get anywhere else. He looked like a superstar. He was worth the price of admission, because you're not going to see anybody else like this anywhere in the world.
He would
wearing
get
these
the jackets
crazy
and the hats custom
and the
made
hats and the
Nobody else
glasses.
was allowed to wear a cowboy
Nobody
hat.
else did that shit. So
He wouldn't
Macho
allow 'em.
Man will stand the test of time as top 5 in my book, top 4 in my eyes. I'll never get rid of Macho Man. So this is tough now, because we have to cause a tie, and I'm going to cause a tie again, as we always do.
Ooh.
And we're going to kind of
Which is best
defer
case
to the
scenario.
chat. And I'm going to eliminate the Legion of Doom.
Damn.
Jeez.
Surprise.
The reason I'm going to eliminate the Legion of Doom is, while they were pioneers at the time, they came in, they were the first jacked up, roided out, fucking mega beast heels that came out with spikes and face paint, and they had mohawks and shaved their heads, and they just
Mad
had like
Max kind of
such a unique, badass look that even for the 80s, it stood the test of time. Like, they stood out in terms of all the other wrestlers
Adrenaline.
that they were, wrestling against smaller guys who had dad bods, and they looked like fat plumbers with hairy chests and beer bellies, and you got these two jacked up fuckers that are just kicking the shit out of everybody. And then, when they came out with the red shoulder pads, and then the WWF, they introduced them as the Legion of Doom, as opposed to the Road Warriors. Hawk and Animal are in the Mount Rushmore of tag teams. So it's really hard to kind of, this is just a game, and we like to do it to kind of create fucking what we just had, and it was perfect, and that's what was the whole point of it. But I'm going to have to side with Chris, and I think Kurt Angle, for just wrestling ability alone and entertainment value, and the fact that Kurt Angle, if you had to mold a wrestler, and you want your wrestler, you're creating a wrestler, WWE 2K24, I want my wrestler to be fast, strong, agile, have endurance, be funny, be charismatic, have good mic skills. Kurt Angle checks off every single box.
Yeah.
And he can kick the shit out of you in real life.
Right.
He can kick the shit out of. Well, he beat Brock Lesnar in a wrestling match.
Just know you're taking out guys who
be fair, the Legion of
entire
Doom
lives
could
are
kick your
dedicated
ass,
to the
too.
one thing. Kurt Angle has his flowers. He has gold medals.
That's
And
true.
you can always go home with those.
You could do that.
Those guys
That's a good point. I didn't even
kicking
look at
them
that
out.
there. That's a good
And
point.
They don't have that. So
That's
know,
actually
Because just because you're taking him out of the
Stripping
Hall
that
of Fame
away
doesn't
from
mean
him.
you're taking away
That's
his
a-
gold
but-
medal.
That's a really
Yeah,
good
but we're
point.
not.
Or his
Then
wrestling
we're
career, for
judging
that
their
matter.
feelings.
That's a really good point.
Because we're not eliminating them from the WWE. We're just
Hall of
taking
Fame.
away the Hall of Fame.
When you
Exactly,
think
that's what I
back on the
mean.
Legion of,
take away
or
their flowers.
do you call them in your head the Legion of Doom or the Road Warriors?
Road Warriors.
Road Warriors.
I flip flop.
For me, it's Legion of Doom because that's how they were introduced to me.
Yeah, but
You know?
you didn't watch AWA or NWA.
Exactly,
I did.
Nobody even had that shit too. There was no network at the time.
I get it.
Once it was
I'm showing
broadcasted,
my
it was
age.
gone. Like it
Showing
was
them.
into a void.
LOD.
It's almost like this shit now.
LOD was the chant in WWF.
No bother says.
And the other thing that I'll just say is Kurt Angle had way better matches than the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Like in terms of match quality, I can go back to
WrestleMania
the-
main events.
he had matches that would stand the test of time. Like they're all-time classics. And if I was to take him out of the Hall of Fame, it would almost diminish the impact that he had in those matches that are just forever gonna be etched in my brain.
Here's what I could say
Yeah,
too.
I can't
Name
say-
a Legion of Doom match.
I
or
can't
a
say
Road
like,
Warriors
give
match.
me a Legion of Doom match that was like
I couldn't-
amazing, epic 5-star.
I
Yes.
could tell
And
you
there's
off the
great
top of
matches.
my head
Fuckers
5
keep
Kurt
doing
Angle
this.
matches. Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon is my. Honestly,
Where he
I
puts him
put
through the
that
glass?
tied with the Shawn Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell match. It's tied with that as my favorite match. That Shane versus Kurt match was so
Almost
fucking
fucking killed
brutal.
him. Vince wanted to stop that
The,
match.
the
Well,
whole
that glass was
story.
supposed to break and then didn't,
Yeah.
and then he did
Exact.
it again.
Well, I did that on WWE 2K. I played as Shane versus Kurt, and I just had like a crazy backstage match, and I was like, "This is awesome." It like kind of feels like that a bit.
I will say that Shane McMahon absolutely 100% deserves the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
induction
without a doubt.
because
His
of
sons
how
are
much
gonna
he
be
put
stars.
his body on the line.
I don't think
Forget
they're going
about
to
being
say
the
McMahon at this point because it's going to bring too
I don't
much
think so. I think they'll
At
they're
some
gonna
point,
wait
cool it
till he
off.
dies.
They'll cool it off.
I-
But Shane, have you seen his children?
Yeah.
He's got some sons that are like
Yeah,
now
they're-
doing football,
Yeah.
and they're inevitably ending up in WWE. 100% guarantee it. You look at these kids, they're like,
name McMahon. I guarantee that.
you
never
think they're
know.
gonna give him Braun Breaker type of
They're
treatment?
not gonna use
I
McMahon.
don't know. I think they're gonna have the last
I
name.
think they're gonna-
I think they could reclaim some honor and dignity.
They're going to start calling
to
him
the
Helmsley.
McMahon. I mean, if you look at the intro to
Who knows?
WWE now, the then now forever, they show a picture of Vince McMahon Sr.
They do.
Which they always have done. Vince has never been in it. He's always kind of kept himself out of it.
Right.
Same thing with Hall of Fame acceptance speeches.
Right.
But, I think
Stone
they'll
Cold
try to
Undertaker.
reclaim some integrity. Stephanie is...
That's actually somebody who came up a lot in the Sarge documentary.
Who's that?
Vince McMahon Sr.
Really?
Yeah, I would say he's named.
Well, he was the one that worked with Slaughter initially.
He brought him in.
Yeah. So to your point, I'm just saying in terms of trying to rehab the name or whatever, you could see in their most recent documentary, they haven't erased the McMahon name.
Because let's face it, of all the McMahons, only
can't.
one of them did terrible things. You know what I mean? Stephanie didn't do that shit. Shane didn't do that shit. Neither did Vince's
Linda.
father,
I mean,
you know
he
what
literally was Mr. McMahon outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Everything he did in the ring, he was that way.
I think
outside
that they can, when, we got time. They're not going to be around for a while. They're going to do their football thing for a little while, and then they're going to become stars, I think.
Before
Kurt Angle matches, right? Kurt Shane, Kurt Shawn,
I guess according to the
Kurt Benoit.
the comments, the Legion of Doom gets eliminated
Well,
because Yao voted for Kurt to stay. So
and Martin, I don't know if he was saying hate to agree with me if he's talking about me, but he might even agree as well. So
go ahead.
But we don't.
There's a lot of comments in the chat. Take a few minutes and just go through the chat and read up some.
I
of the
will say
comments.
too, when we get a tie, that's always the best case scenario because that means nobody dies, nobody's out. Just like when we had the Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings tie or whatever it was, they were able. It was able to survive.
speaking of, we're supposed to be in June getting a new House of the Dragon season.
All right, now half the
correct?
people in the chat
Amped.
are going to leave. That's it.
Most of them left already. So it's fine. House of the Dragon's coming in June. We're fucking amped.
Yeah.
And I before we end the show, I definitely wanted to acknowledge the passing of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z. I know this isn't something that
Damn shame.
Joe knows a huge amount about, but he was one of my heroes because Dragon Ball Z was my gateway drug into anime back in, I don't know if it was 97, 98 when they first started the Toonami block. And I remember they used to just air like old Hanna-Barbera cartoons on Cartoon Network and stuff like that until they came out with the Toonami block. And I was like, wow, these are like different cartoons. And Dragon Ball Z came on. It had the awesome theme song with the and then the fighting, the animation. I remember being immediately sucked into Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, this is so different than anything I've ever watched before, but I fucking love this. And it was a lot of years between that, like, I watched that show and then like started getting into anime like I am now. I went on like a pilgrimage like 7-8 years ago and started going back and watching all the iconic anime throughout the years, like Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho and Full Metal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. I was like firing them all off. But Dragon Ball Z was the very, very start of it. It was what I used to use LimeWire to give my computer cancer to download each individual episode of Dragon Ball Z. I would download one episode at a time. It would take forever for one episode to download. And I had this one folder in my computer with labeled episodes, episode 1, 2, 3, 4. I went through the entirety of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. Watched the entirety of the series. Love that series. Always make it to the movie theaters to go see their movies. It was one of the things that one of my best friends, Brian Rodriguez, I used to work at the credit union with, we bonded over, and to this day we still go see Dragon Ball Z movies together. It was the first person that I called when I found out that Akira Toriyama passed away, but he was the original artist and the manga writer of it, and then was brought on as the creative for the Dragon Ball Z cartoon and the Dragon Ball cartoon. And arguably, it's the most iconic and most easily recognizable anime of all time.
Definitely.
It's really what put anime on the map for a lot of people.
I would say.
And statistically speaking, and this is an actual fact that's kind of crazy, the cartel actually,
It's not even talking about that.
no, this is insane. They're so well known for being fans of Dragon Ball Z that crime actually goes down when a new episode of Dragon Ball Z is aired, and this was actually measured. This was like
Which cartel?
statistically.
Which country?
Like this was like
Mexico.
South America, like where the Colombians
Mexicans
and
and-
Chico,
all that
get the
kind of
yo-yo,
stuff, too,
okay?
and,
Very
popular.
it's so worldwide popular that like the fact that this guy passed away, he's like the Japanese Stan Lee. It's like he influenced directly so many other people that created anime afterwards. You wouldn't have One Piece without Dragon Ball Z. You wouldn't have a lot of these guys.
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, Pokemon maybe not so
different.
much. It's a little bit
But-
different, but
Street
so-
Fighter.
Dragon
anything
Ball
that has
Z
fighting in it
introduced-
is exact.
If you talk to any American, Dragon Ball Z is what introduced them to anime, like something beyond cartoons.
Yeah.
It was, I would say, a majority.
The only reason I
This-
couldn't get into it is it just looked like a rip-off of Street Fighter to me. Because he threw fireballs and he did like...
It's so funny.
it's ironic because it
Street
actually
Fighter
existed before Street
posted
Fighter.
today about it in honor of
Right, and that's
Exactly.
why I didn't see Dragon Ball first. I saw Street Fighter first. So I guess, to your point, it influenced Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. He wouldn't
That's
have
where it
the
came from.
Shoryuken without a
Hadouken!
Hadouken
Because there was
without
the Dragon Ball manga was
Kamehameha.
the 80s,
I think it was 84.
right? And
It
then the
was
cartoon
84
was
or 86, something like that.
early 90s.
And that was
So-
original Dragon Ball, and that's where all those, like the Kamehameha and all that stuff came from.
Dragon Ball is something that definitely takes me back to my childhood, because I remember coming and visiting my cousins and they were watching it, and I was obsessed from the get. It was like, but this was back in the day, like Rob was saying, you couldn't get access to this stuff. Nobody owned like all the tapes. Or
My brother's friend did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Holy shit.
when you mentioned how like it was a lot of people's introduction, like I saw it late at night on Cartoon
Konami.
Network, and my brother's friends. And I've mentioned this before, how my brother helped get me into wrestling, because like all of his friends used to come over, and my brother's room was in the basement, and like all of his friends would come over, and they were cool. I'm like a young kid, and it's like my older brother was cool, and his friends were cool. And, they always had, like, the DX shirt. They had all the merch and all that stuff. That's where they got the belt. I remember when they all went to WrestleMania together. And famously, the guy Mark couldn't make it for whatever reason, but I had to throw that in there. And I remember mentioning Dragon Ball Z. And then my brother's one friend, Jay, who's now actually actually a brother, because my brother's wife, his sister, is married to him. So he's like, it's a family. I remember him saying like, "Oh, Dragon Ball Z," and he came over with like all these tapes, and they were the Japanese tapes with the captions.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And he would
Even
like
better.
try to explain me the shit, and I definitely fell out of it when I was before my
It was a
my teenager
bitch.
years.
This was
but-
definitely like
This
a
was
middle
in the-
school.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I was.
But
in, like,
I want to
eighth
go
grade.
back and watch it at some point.
It's
It's on
outstanding. It still
Crunchyroll.
holds up. Like it's sometimes you watch something like for instance, when I was a kid, I was a huge Rugrats fan. Try to watch Rugrats now; it doesn't hit the same as it did. in
Oh,
the
I
90s.
disagree. Rugrats was written for adults, dude. There's a lot of
There
funny
is some
adult
funny
jokes.
stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not connected to it like I was.
fair.
I don't know. There's certain shows that they hold up or they don't.
There's a
depending
lot
on-
of shit that like they said on the Rugrats that kids wouldn't
Like
understand.
I love Stu. Stu is so
Stu is great.
relatable.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
relatable. When he's
Rugrats right
making
now?
pudding in the fucking
What the fuck?
kitchen at 3 a.m.
Wow.
But
It's cartoons.
what the fuck?
There was some
What?
fucked up shit that they said
I
on
brought
there.
I brought this up to Rob yesterday with Dragon Ball. The funny thing was when the show was airing, there were only so many episodes that were converted into English. Like you said, your friend had the tapes with the Japanese.
yeah,
Funimation
Funimation was still
So-
working on it at the time.
You didn't know that though. There was no way to know what was happening. Really, the internet was in its fucking infancy.
Yeah.
You weren't able to stay up to date on what exactly was happening. So what I would have to do, I would set my recorder because I would have practice, and I would set it to record new episodes of Dragon Ball Z. But what would happen is as you progress to a certain point, all of a sudden the next episode that would air was the beginning. It was episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z. You would restart this whole fucking thing. So you go on this journey watching, I'm telling you, like a lot of episodes, a lot
Wait,
of
say that again?
commercials.
The original
So the-
version of Dragon Ball Z was very long. It had
Yes,
the whole
and
Snake Way. Like this took like
when-
20 episodes. They made a shorter, condensed version called Kai years later. But the original version of this thing was
Never
a lot of
ends.
episodes, and they didn't have it all dubbed.
And it's
so
really
when they would reach a certain point, they would just restart the show, and like you wouldn't get to the end of the fucking story.
I remember.
And what was even worse than that was that when it got really popular, they gave it 2 time slots back to back, but they wouldn't show consecutive episodes. They'd show 1 episode from the Raditz saga and then 1 episode from the fucking Cell.
Awful.
And it's like, I want to watch 2 episodes back to back, not fucking 2 separate parts of the show. You know,
remember that?
It used to piss me off.
So I don't think I watched all of Dragon Ball Z until like I don't know.
Well, that's what prompted me to do the whole LimeWire thing when that became like a big thing.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, I had gotten my own
Napster.
computer, and
when you got cable internet, that's when it really got real. When you had 56K, you could download songs, but videos were fucking.
That's the thing. I
bad.
said tapes, but I think it was like when DVDs first just became a thing. Because I feel like he had them on
first
DVD.
DVD
They
I
were
ever
discs.
saw.
I remember them being discs.
That makes sense.
The first
Totally makes
DVD
sense.
I ever saw was in 8th grade history class. The teacher brought in his DVD player with Glory, the movie Glory, with Matthew Broderick, the Civil War movie. And I remember like going home telling my dad, I was like, there's menus and like special features, and you don't have to rewind it. Yeah. And I remember like the Wiz going out of business, and we ended up going down to the Wiz and buying the DVD player for like discount. And then fast forward, like, I don't know if it was like a year or 2 later, like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, it was a year later. I convinced my parents to get me a PlayStation 2 because that was a DVD player, but like the same price as like one that was just a DVD player. So.
Yeah.
But it's just, it breaks my heart because he was the only one that could tell a truly good Dragon Ball Z stories because he created those characters. And they made a series back in the late 90s called Dragon Ball GT, and it was not made by the original creator, and some people love it and some people hate it. I really don't like it as much, but then he came back and made Dragon Ball Super, and that kind of brought back a lot of hype, and it got to the point where even the Japanese government was providing money to the studio to produce this movie, which was like unheard of. Like, it was like crazy that's how big Dragon Ball Z is. That and One Piece are the top 2 anime of all time in Japan. This is from the country where they come from. So you can imagine the ripples that this man's loss has made throughout the entire world.
How old was he?
He was 68 years old.
That's pretty young.
Wow,
Acute. What did they say it was?
I didn't even read that. I think he was a smoker. You know, I think it was not. You know.
I just want to acknowledge some comments that
Yeah,
we have. We've had a long comments,
got
a lot of comments, and I appreciate everybody like dumping these comments in because it adds to the show, and this is why we do the show. This is going back to like the Who Stays, Who Goes. Everyone was just going ham when you guys were going at it. Martin says Macho Man was a fucking rapper too. He's the GOAT.
Be a man, Hogan! Come on, don't be scared. You're running for a macho, that's what I heard. Be a man, Hogan! Dude, I listened to his whole album. It's ridiculous.
It was an
you hear a song about Mr. Perfect?
Hematoma. That's what it was.
Jeez, oh, God. All right.
It's a sin.
Pete Jones says, I agree with Chris on this one. He's not wrong.
That's Yao.
Is that Yao?
Yao's got another alias.
Yao.
That's
Martin
his version
says,
of Jackie
hate
Sangria.
to agree with him. And then he said, would love to see the Road Warriors in a TLC match. And he says, Vin's wrong on that one.
That's Yao.
He said Kurt was an addict but never had a bad match because of it. Martin says Macho Man is top 5 all time. He said you broke the promise, didn't you, Hulk Hogan? No bother. He's quoting the Macho Man on there.
Piccolo, Vegeta, or fucking.
And
Trunks.
Martin agrees Legion of Doom would get the rip. No bother also says Legion of Doom.
Wow.
So that's a couple Legion of Dooms right there. And then lots of comments in the section about he will be missed. Sadly, he passed away. Unlike Stanley, he was an actual artist and creator. Ooh,
True.
That's a dig.
True, because Stanley was like the creative behind it, but he wasn't the artist. That would have been Jack the King Kirby.
Read Yao's comment about Rugrats when Chucky eats the watermelon seed. It's fucked up. It's like an acid
So
trip.
that was it's kind of a funny joke when that episode came out because my brother's friend in high school told me that.
That was the urban legend at
said
the
the
time.
same thing to me,
Yeah.
and I was freaked out. And then I got fat, and years later I told him, I was like, "This is all your fault." He was hysterical. I'd seen him
Damn
like
watermelons.
I seen him years later. It was like because when I was a kid, I was skinny. Believe it or not.
Help! Go home, Yoko.
Still got time.
Oh, yeah, it's time to end the show. Yeah,
And into the danger zone. Yeah.
That's Kurt Angle, dude. That's good Kurt
guys. Right?
It's true. It's true.
Not as good as the Macho Man. Yeah.
Guys,
this has been the Break Room Podcast. If you're new to the show, welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and that notification button because, technical difficulties, we never know the actual time we're going live. So
Plus, we do other
that's
stuff
the
during the
best
week.
way to know.
We got streams during the
we
week.
do have streams during the week. He's
Shorts.
We got Jackie Sangria as
Just
the,
another day in the life of the GTA,
GTA
Valet.
Valet.
And this time, and next time.
And then, of course, we have the Real Life Peter Griffin streams that I do on my own page. But then we do the
co-streams.
crossover streams.
Do it this week. We'll do it.
Perhaps. And it's that's worth mentioning before we end the show. The new season of Fortnite came out, so Peter Griffin
Somebody
is
said
not
that at
in
the
the
start.
game anymore.
Oh, you can't even.
They remove
But-
people?
But he
You
can
can-
still be his skin.
You can still play as the skin.
he's just not in
but
the
he
area.
is not
okay.
a boss in the game.
As long as they don't
anymore.
take your skins
They,
away.
they
took
replaced
Snake's
all
away.
the bosses with Grecian gods.
Oh, so
It's
the
about
same map.
it's about
Okay.
the Greek pantheon, Zeus and all those guys.
Achilles.
So they're changing
The
a lot of stuff
Mysticles.
with that. So we'll see.
They-
I haven't played the new thing yet. It literally
Chris is
dropped
gonna play
today. I
more.
think it was like
Christophocles.
I think it
I'm
was
not
like
playing anything with WWE.
6 o'clock today. I think the new thing because it was like
Just
under maintenance all
download
day.
Real Life Peter Griffin from WWE 2K Creations, and you can go live and play WWE as the Real Life Peter Griffin.
I gotta create myself, and I'm gonna need
You're gonna-
Chris's help
you're gonna look the
because I looked terrible in the last game. And
face
I kind of
scans?
hate it.
They're still in the game.
I was like all like whitewashed, and my skin looked like I was Smeagol. Like I just fucking hate it. I'm like I'm white, but I'm not that white. Like
There's a
it's
little
fucked.
trick to getting your face in the game.
So, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys. You're invaluable to the show. We feed off of you guys, and we do it for you. So please hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next Friday with another exciting episode of the Break Room Podcast. Snoochie Boochies, and may the force be with you.
Freak out! Yeah!
Help!